Fourth Hokage, Tsunade. The villagers love her very much. Will her avatar appear there in the future? Conan said, pointing to Hokage Rock in the distance. Certainly. Kyochi nods. The portrait of each official Hokage will appear in the Hokage Rock. Certain stigmas are exceptions. Unlike Minato, no one will question Tsunade's superiority. Identity, qualifications, ability and status. None are crushing. No one in Konoha at the same time can match her, including Orochimaru and Jiraiya, not to mention the identity of the granddaughter of first generation. The reform and implementation of medical ninjas alone have benefited a bunch of people. Many people survived because of Tsunade's actions. Not to mention, there are many people who survived because of Tsunade's own medical ninjutsu. So, Tsunade has always been the best candidate for Hokage, but in many cases, this matter cannot be decided by third generation. For others, why not? But, for Tsunade, her problem has always been, why should I be Hokage? Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama both became Hokage, but they all died in the end. Even Senju Hashirama didn't have a good death, because he could have lived longer. Nawaki and Duan also want to be Hokage, so now they too are dead. So Tsunade can't find the point of being Hokage. She doesn't like the position even though it's so easy to get. Until Kyochi shows up. She is now returning to Konoha as Hokage, just to allow Kyochi's policy to be fully and effectively implemented, so that Konoha can develop according to Kyochi's desired direction. Certainly, she also has some hopes for that future. That's why Tsunade is back. And these. It's hard for outsiders to understand. Even Kyochi only guessed that Tsunade might have come back from outside because of herself, but what was she thinking? How could he know completely? Tsunade didn't say it again. Kyochi looked up, a flash of nostalgia in his eyes. The scenarios are very similar. The difference is that he is now in the painting. You seem very emotional, is it that obvious? Kyochi touched his face. He felt that he was quite good at hiding expressions, at least not the type of Obito who knew what he was thinking just by looking at his expressions. Conan smiled slightly and said, it's not too obvious, but my feeling is quite accurate sometimes. Haha, it turned out that they lied to me. It's nothing, I just feel that Tsunade's return to the village seems to be not long ago, and I feel a little bit sighed in my heart. Kyochi shook his head, turned and left from the scene. The Hokage ceremony has roughly ended, and the follow-up is some simple talks and procedures. Conan followed behind him. At this point in time, as a ninja from a foreign village, you still can't walk around to avoid being misunderstood. At the same time, she still has some questions that she wants to discuss in detail with Kyochi. Kyochi knew that too. So, he took Conan back to his home, which is now the most familiar and safest place in Konoha Kyochi, because the surrounding plants are now his eyes and ears. Anyone who enters will be discovered by those plants. I said before that after the Hokage ceremony, I will go to Rain Shinobi Village with you. Do you want to ask me what I am doing in Rain Shinobi Village? I'm very sorry, but as a ninja from Rain Shinobi Village, I must know your intentions. Conan bowed deeply. Kyochi waved his hand and said, no need to apologize, this is a normal concern. I didn't have any special intentions to go to Rain Shinobi Village, and it was more for some things in the village. Is that so? Then I understand. Conan is a smart guy. When Kyochi answered this step, she could roughly guess what kind of thing it was, and if she asked further questions, it would probably involve village secrets. She thought for a while and asked, when will we leave? Don't you study in the lower grades? Hee, come on, let me study. Isn't it actually a substitute class to free up time for you to do other things? Although I did learn a lot, that's all. Conan paused and shook his head slightly, still not. She has already learned the mechanism of the ninja school, how to improve the atmosphere, and how to teach. Different villages have different situations, and learning more detailed things may not be useful. It is better to go back to discuss, research, and start to practice. Real knowledge comes from practice. Then tomorrow. It is good. Conan has no comment. I chose tomorrow because Minato won't be back until tomorrow. Otherwise today would be a good day. Of course, this task is sent to Kushina's side. It's really a bit rude to arrange an itinerary before people come back. When the mission is over, let Minato rest for a while and give them enough time to spend together. The next day, Kushina is at home, learning how to cook with great interest, preparing to cook a table of special dishes to entertain Minato who came back, but she made a few dishes. There is a knock on the door. Konoha's Anbu ninja, and this mask, she vaguely remembers the other party's codename. Owl. Currently Kyochi's most trusted unit leader. Master Kushina. Huh? You are Shao, right? Is there something wrong with the village? Kushina wiped her hands. Yu Kazuki smelled the smell inside, and his face changed slightly. This smell. It's terrible. He felt a little lucky for Namikaze Minato, but luckily Minato didn't come back. Otherwise he would be in the hospital after working out and eating this kind of food, right? Moonlight Kazuki thought in his heart. Later, he said, Master Minato originally returned to the village, but he received a temporary mission and had to go out again, so he can't go home for the time being. Huh. Are you kidding me? Minato is too busy to be at home all day this month, and I finally tried to cook. The veins on Kushina's forehead were throbbing. There was a tendency to hit someone the next moment. The corner of Yu Kazuki's mouth twitched. This kind of temper. It really hasn't changed at all. He bowed lightly and said, I'm very sorry, but there is really no other way. Only Minato can complete this task. The specific task cannot be disclosed. Please understand. Damn. I'm going to demolish Kyochi's house. Kushina yelled angrily. Fortunately, Yu Kazuki was wearing a mask. Otherwise there would be one more quota for demolition. After all, this kid's expression control is really not in place. Well, I still have something to do, so I'm leaving for the time being. Roll. Kushina has an extremely bad temper. After slamming the door, she returned to the house and sulked. Looking at the dishes on the table, she fell into deep thought. What about these dishes? Eat it yourself. She picked up the bowl and chopsticks and began to eat the 2 dishes she had prepared so far. After each stretched out a chopstick, she put down the bowl and chopsticks silently with a complicated expression. Then, she went back to the kitchen and dumped the food away. Sure enough, eating ramen is still suitable for a person, so go eat Ichiraku ramen, and then go to Kyochi Kanda to settle accounts with that unreasonable guy. Kushina must be very angry now. On the way to Rain Shinobi Village, Minato sighed softly. Fortunately, he sent the news back in advance, but in the end, no one entered the village and was stopped outside. Another task. Minato, I'm saving you. Did you know that Kushina is cooking? Actually Kushina's food is not that bad. Minato didn't have enough confidence to speak. Kushina's cooking. It cannot be said that the talent is poor, but the talent for cooking can only be said to be average. The key is that Minato's own cooking skills are too good, so he usually cooks at home, and Kushina hardly has the opportunity to touch kitchen utensils. If she cooks herself, should we go out to eat now? This is the best. Otherwise, Minato was a little worried. Don't worry, she ate out. Maybe at an Ichiraku ramen restaurant. Speaking of which, Tsunade's cooking skills are also terrible. Fortunately, Shizune and the others are at home. Kyochi couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Minato gave him a helpless look, and instead of answering the question, he asked the details of the mission and why he had to do it. After listening to it, he realized that it really must be him. Flying Thunder God. Konoha is only Minato himself for the time being. Minato, have you considered teaching a few Flying Thunder Gods? Too difficult. Minato sighed. As a learner, he knew the difficulty of Flying Thunder God best. Too many conditions are required. It is impossible for ordinary people to learn it. Even if they learn it, the risk is huge, and they may not be able to master it proficiently. Of course not for one person, but what if 3 or 4 people use it together? Used in combination? That means, it seems that you can try it. Minato just wanted to refute. But on second thought, if someone else would be Flying Thunder God right now, he wouldn't need to make this trip. It seems. I have to try it when I go back and see if others can learn it. Why is there Kakashi in this mission? Oh yes, you should help me with the mission. Kakashi wanted to enter Anbu, but I stopped him. He brought him out this time to teach his apprentices. What? Minato was stunned. He really didn't know about this matter. Because I've been very busy recently, I haven't had much time to get along with Kakashi and the others. Result. Is that Kakashi guy like this? Then my identity? It can't be revealed. I've already told Conan that you are now a Rain Shinobi who is responsible for the response, and your secret mission is not over yet. Fine. Minato sighed helplessly. Kakashi, that guy is really worrying. Kyochi's shadow clone disappears. Not long after. Kyochi led the team and escorted Conan out of Konoha. After leaving the Konoha range, Kakashi became alert for a moment and looked towards a bush. Someone. Don't worry, it's our ninja from Rain Shinobi Village. It's not convenient to enter Konoha Village, so we're waiting here. Yes, my name is Shuihei, Rain Shinobi Village Chunin, Master Conan. Who are these? They went to Rain Shinobi Village to exchange and study together. I see. Thank you very much. How could Rain Shinobi be here? Kakashi had a tinge of doubt in his heart. With samurai as a lesson from the past, he now feels that he is wearing a vest when he sees a lot of them, especially this kind of sudden and unreasonable character. But he didn't ask, but kept silent while secretly observing his new teammate. Uchiha Shisui, Yuhihong, disciple of Kyochi. During the 2 Chunin exams, Kakashi, as a Chunin who had been promoted early, was a bystander, so he had a good understanding of the strength of Kyochi's 3 disciples. Shisui is the most comprehensive. Asuma is the strongest in frontal combat. Sunset Red. Kakashi doesn't know much about her, only that she was originally an excellent phantom ninja, but after joining the Kyochi team, she began to focus on the development of medical ninjutsu and taijutsu. To be observed. If you cooperate, the first step should be to collect information on your teammates, right? Know them enough. However, they don't seem to know me well enough. Kyochi's words flashed in Kakashi's mind, and he thought of a very crucial question. He knows Shisui and Kurenai Yuhi. But Shisui and Hong should know very little about him, so we need to find some time to communicate with them. He has a lot of plans in mind. But when he left Konoha and arrived at the border of the Fire Country, when everyone stopped for a rest, he still didn't speak to them. Minato saw it in his eyes and was anxious in his heart. And Kakashi is also tangled. Outsiders are here, it seems a little bad for him to discuss this with Shisui and the others. But it's not safe to walk away alone. What can I do? Kyochi looked at it and wanted to laugh. There is no doubt that as a ninja, Kakashi is absolutely qualified. The problem is that he has too strict standards for himself and others, and he abides by dogma to an almost mechanical degree. Failure to observe discipline is, of course, wrong. But there are some problems if you obey the discipline too much. Such as Kakashi. He didn't believe that this guy couldn't see that Mizuwa was a fake, and Konan had taught at a ninja school, which showed Kyochi's trust in Konan. To be honest, it's all our own here. What's there to hide? However, this guy is still as immobile as a bell, and Shisui is not in a hurry because of the old god, but Yuhihong is a little anxious. Everyone seems to be. It looks like they don't get along harmoniously. She was about to speak, but noticed that Shisui moved his fingers, making a very subtle signal. Do not move. This? She was a little puzzled, but out of trust in her teammates, she silently shut up. Out of the land of fire, Kakashi is still waiting. However, in the northern part of Kawa no Kuni, he still didn't have a chance, while Shisui and Yuhihong were discussing the situation in the northern part of Kawa no Kuni softly there, and the chat was very enjoyable. Kakashi is isolated. He didn't care much about these at first. He used to think that ninjas don't need friends, and everyone is only together to complete the task. Including Obito, Lin. Although he has been together for a long time, he has never been too integrated. Now he can get along well with Lin and Obito because Obito and Lin take the initiative to move closer to him. But when teammates don't get close to him, Kakashi felt it. Uncomfortable. Kyochi secretly gave Shisui a thumbs up. Cooperate more. Look at our disciple. Look at that one again, it looks like an orphan player. He winked at Minato. Minato was speechless. Kakashi socializes and stretches his hips. He feels that he has a certain responsibility, at least he does not pay enough attention to Kakashi's psychological problems. Besides, in terms of educational ability, he has always felt that Kyochi is the strongest, and there is nothing comparable. If he can still need to be a seamless overtime worker here? Minato is confident. The group is about to arrive in the land of rain, and even Konan can't sit still. Is this guy going to be an orphan forever? Not communicating with teammates? Anyway, it's also a task, so be serious. She looked at the sky, and said stiffly, the land of rain is ahead, and the rain has started to increase in this area. It may be more troublesome if you travel at night. Why don't you stay in the small town in front of you for one night? Okay, you are familiar with this area, listen to you. Kyochi didn't refuse. The ideological problem of rectifying Kakashi is second, and the mission and fishing are the key. He doesn't want to pick up sesame seeds and lose watermelon. Kakashi was relieved to hear that he was going to stay overnight. It is good. The opportunity has come. In the small town ahead, there are scattered raindrops in the sky. This side has not yet entered the country of rain, but the weather has begun to be as bad as the country of rain, and the surrounding area is full of water veins and turbulent rivers. The town is not big, but it can gain a foothold because it is at the junction of the country of rain and the country of rivers, and it can provide accommodation and supplies for ninjas and wandering ninjas who come and go. Therefore, it is instead the most prosperous town in the northern part of Kawa no Kuni. Konan is familiar with the road, found a host who is very familiar with her, and got 4 rooms. 1 room each for Konan, Kyochi and Minato. There is a room between Kakashi and Shisui, and the red room is next to them. After living in boom boom boom, there was a knock on the door. Kyochi opened the door, saw Konan standing outside, couldn't help but be silent for a moment, and then said, knocking on a man's door in the middle of the night. Woman, you are committing a crime. Young poor, who is that masked kid? Why? So strange. And you brought him out, as if you meant to train him. Why didn't you talk to help him from the beginning to the end? Conan couldn't help it. This is purely because the emperor is not in a hurry, and the eunuch is anxious to die. Kyochi was helpless. Seeing Conan's dissatisfied look, he pointed to the room and motioned for her to come in. You are more anxious than me. It's too dark. Even if there is an outsider like me, at least we can chat with each other and exchange our information through chat, right? You're right, but he won't. Kyochi agrees with Conan's claims. Conan was confused. Communicating with teammates, isn't this the basic quality of being a ninja? It's very complicated to say, and I can't explain it to you one by one. Kyochi didn't tell her about Tsukumo's experience. Anyone who understands this thing understands it, and it's useless to talk about it if you don't understand it. Conan fell silent. Looks like a child with a story. She sighed. Get up and prepare to go. At this time, there is another dong 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 outside. Okay. Now comes the most urgent thing. Kyochi smiled and went to open the door, only to see Mizuwa standing outside. Seeing that Conan was also there, Minato was stunned for a moment, then nodded slightly, looked at Kyochi and said, let's see what's going on with them. Conan was dumbfounded. The next moment, Minato squeezed in and quickly found the crystal ball under the table. Have to say, in terms of information gathering, Minato is really full. Fine. Kyochi had no choice but to follow his advice. After all, who asked people to help me now? In the next second, Conan saw the scene of Kakashi and his room from the crystal ball. The three of them were sitting together and communicating. It seemed that they were talking about their own abilities and cooperative tactical plans. Conan glanced coldly and was speechless for a moment. Kyochi, this guy is really. He had acted calmly before, but it turned out that he could see it. Be human. Jiraiya can't even do that. Kakashi still seems to be communicating, so don't worry, alas. Minato sighed. In the case of Kakashi, he also tried to persuade him before, but it was useless, so he had to turn to Tsunade for help, mainly because he heard that Tsunade is studying psychological medicine recently. Never thought. Kakashi was almost healed into Anbu. Outrageous. Conan saw it. Kakashi is Minato's disciple. So to say, indirectly equivalent to his own children and nephews? Wrong. Kakashi? The name is very familiar. She thought for a long time, and a surname appeared in her mind. Hitaki. Son of White Fang. You were happy too early, didn't you see it? He is talking to himself now, and he didn't ask Shisui and Hong for their opinions at all. Can this also be called cooperation? Kyochi shakes his head. Still have to practice. Squad cooperation is not a word. There are many variables in the battle. No one can make everything go according to plan. Even if it was him, he only gave a general direction when explaining the tasks, and let them grasp the details by themselves, while Kakashi felt like he wanted to control everything in his hands. It's overkill. This. You are right, but he is in my team, it seems like this. Minato scratched his head. He didn't think there was anything wrong with this before. Under Kakashi's command, Obito and Lin played their due strengths, which can be called a relatively perfect cooperation. Result. So in the eyes of others, isn't this called cooperation at all? Who is Obito? Who is Shisui? It's not that I look down on it. Let Obito participate in the combat discussion. The final result may be to rush directly to confront the opponent. Obito, it is true. Conan nodded appreciatively. Minato thought for a moment, then nodded slightly. The teammates are different, and the thinking really needs to change accordingly. Shisui is comparable to the previous Kakashi in terms of thinking and ability. Such teammates should not cooperate in such a form. So rigid. Look at it this way. I also seem to have a problem. Minato fell into self-examination, and Kyochi looked at it for a while, almost wanting to yawn. At this moment, Kakashi may still feel that his tactics are very subtle. He took the weather and the environment into account. At this age, it is quite good to have such considerations. The question is, who are the enemies that may be encountered after entering the land of rain? Without knowing it at all, he started to make a battle plan, and even went as far as to cooperate with ninjutsu. Are you a micromanager too? I'm not talking anymore, Conan. Does your village have a stronger team? Well, to be honest, no. Conan would like to answer, yes, but his strength does not allow him. After all, the opponent is a combination of Kakashi, Shisui and Yuhihong. Kyochi frowned. Knowing the information, is there anyone who can cause them some trouble? I don't think so. The elites of Rain Shinobi Village, you should have seen them all in the Chunin exam before. If you think which one is reliable, you can tell me. That's really not the case. Even with Kakashi's more mechanical tactical collocation, it needs a ninja with a certain strength to crack and counter it, otherwise knowing the intelligence will not help. Kyochi pondered for a moment, and then said, then choose a Chunin team under the age of 15. Anyway, all 3 of them are Chunin. If they lose, they can motivate Rain Shinobi, and if they win, they can teach Kakashi a lesson. It doesn't matter what. Okay, it's communication anyway. Conan has no problem with that. The Konoha team itself came to Rain Shinobi village to exchange and learn, which played a role in spurring Rain Shinobi and driving the atmosphere. Kyochi's business is on Konoha's side. The next day, Kakashi and Shisui remained silent and did not communicate much. If it weren't for the telescope technique, everyone might think that nothing happened to them last night, so the current situation is even more weird. This is to communicate or not to communicate. Kyochi is familiar. Communicated, but not fully communicated. Kakashi's state is a bit similar to everyone working together, which belongs to the relationship of colleagues. Apart from work, there is nothing to discuss and communicate with. Conan looked strange, and looked at Minato sympathetically. There are such disciples. Minato is going bald, right? Oh. And teammates like Kyochi. Kyochi is solid, but it's really hard to exploit others. All kinds of operations that make people involuntary, various systems and ideas that are not suitable for people, and they will not give up until they are forced to struggle. The key is that even he himself is very involved. Shadow Clone is maintained almost 24 hours a day. It is well known as a reasonable use of time to prolong life in an alternative way. Conan was speechless. As an outsider, she admired this spirit of struggle and felt a little anxious. Others are talented and struggle like this every day. What about yourself? Thinking of this, she wished she could spend all her time practicing. But going home at night, she calms down and understands that this is Kyochi's trick too. Lead by example. He himself is more curly than others. Others have nothing to say, right? Therefore, Conan now both loves and hates Kyochi's introversion. Especially when she thought of going back to the village, she wanted to promote this set in Rain Shinobi village, and she felt a little bit guilty. After all, it was tantamount to trying to force everyone to fight. Compete for rankings and resources, indisputable? Then lag behind. But after thinking about it, she felt that she didn't need to feel sorry for Minato at all. This guy might also be a member of the introvert army and one of the initiators of Konoha's current situation. Alas, Omura is so curly, so that Komura can't get along. She held on to the poncho with her hands. Our Rain Shinobi village is almost here, everyone hold on. It's finally here, I really can't bear it. Kyochi couldn't help but let out a breath. He has long known that the weather in Rain Shinobi village is bad, but the reality is far worse than he imagined. It is raining everywhere, and the sun can only be seen for an hour a day at most. And maybe when you see the sun, it is already sunset. But this is not every day. They are lucky, and it was sunny for a while when they first came. In normal times, more than 10 days may not be able to clear one day. That felt so ked up. Haha, you're like this when you first came here, and you'll get used to it after a while. Conan smiled. They are also very uncomfortable on such days, but there is no way. The country of rain is such a country, and the number of sunny days every year is only a few days. It is already a good experience to see the sun like today. Yu Hahong stuffed her hair into the poncho, and couldn't help but said, is there no way to change the weather? This kind of technique can't be done by humans, right? Conan thought for a while and said, Minato thinks of Kyochi's Kilin. That technique is the use of natural lightning. In this respect, if anyone knows anything, it's Kyochi. After all, apart from him, no one else seems to be studying this aspect. It's not completely impossible. Ah? Is there a way? Conan was pleasantly surprised. I have discussed with Yahiko and Ebizo of Sanagakure before. If you remove some of the mountains between the land of rain and the land of wind, and let the rain flow down from the north, the rainy climate in the land of rain will improve a lot. The land of rain has a special terrain. He is in the middle of the kingdom of wind, the kingdom of earth, and the kingdom of fire, surrounded by mountains to form a basin, with only one mouth leading to the kingdom of river. That is, the river that runs through the country of Kawa. Kyochi speculates that the situation in the land of rain may be due to the fact that the northeast ocean current is blocked by the terrain of the basin, resulting in the formation of a circulation here, and it rains all year round. Corresponding. The northern part of the land of winds is a dry land. The drought dies, and the flood dies. Remove a mountain or two and it will definitely improve. Certainly. It can only be said to improve a little bit, it should rain or it should rain, but Conan was silent after hearing this example. Move the mountain? Even a ninja can do this. Oh, there are people who can do it. Conan thought of the famous Valley of the End in the Land of Fire, and held back what he almost blurted out. But that kind of strength probably no longer exists in this world, right? Conan cares about gain and loss. It is a good thing that the Land of Rain has a chance to improve, but this chance is too slim. What are you worried about? If you can't do it now, you may not be able to do it in the future. Please believe in the speed of development of the ninja world. Kyochi smiled. In terms of moving mountains and seas, who in the ninja world can compare with Iwagakure? When the era of the great ninja world comes, isn't the final direction of development for Iwagakure and his group to be construction and civil engineering? By the time, isn't it simple and easy to spend some money and hire a group of people to open the mountain? As far as the country is concerned, it is not a problem that can be solved with money. In particular, the countries of the Land of Rain, the Land of Birds, and the Land of Rivers are not considered poor. On the contrary, they are all quite rich. The biggest problem of the Land of Rain has never been the economy, but population. After a while, a strange building appeared in front of their eyes. It is completely different from Konoha's building. Most of the houses here are made of iron and steel, which look different in style, but full of strange beauty. Welcome to Rain Shinobi Village. Conan turned and pointed at the steel forest. Rain Shinobi Village. Kakashi is not too unfamiliar. He has been to the Land of Rain on a mission before and has seen it from a distance. Certainly. That feeling is completely incomparable with watching it up close. Still leaving? Do you like to get in the rain? Kyochi walked a few steps, seeing no one followed, turned to look at them strangely. Conan was speechless. She wanted to show the beauty of her hometown. Pity. Some people don't appreciate it. Hateful. She silently followed, while Minato smiled awkwardly and said, "Let's stay first, they must be exhausted from the long journey." "Let's go." Kyochi was at the forefront. He narrowed his eyes slightly. The rain was very familiar. Yuhu Zizai technique. Very similar. But relatively speaking, it is relatively rough, and it should belong to the technique of trying and improving. Kyochi knew it. Nagato now has Hanzo's guidance, and it is normal that his strength is faster than before. Hanzo probably wouldn't be able to do that without Danzo interfering. After all, he's counting on Yahiko to take over. Kyochi wondered. But Konoha. There should be some action on Danzo's side. Katsuyu's chakra appeared just now, and it should be to deliver a letter. Follow Conan back to the residence. He immediately went inside and summoned Katsuyu, summoning out. Katsuyu brought an intelligence scroll, but, to Kyochi's surprise, the information was not about Danzo, but Uchiha. Those elders moved first. Elder Uchiha gathered at Nanga Shrine. Kyochi was a little surprised, although he guessed that they were restless, but he didn't expect that he had only been away for 2 days, and those people acted directly. Grabbing the bait, "It's you guys, Black Zetsu?" The old guys rebelled. Most of them were tortoises, and there were very few iron-blooded and courageous ones. If they can be so decisive and quick, there must be someone behind them. But Black Zetsu may not know his own thoughts, and he may just follow the trend and benefit from it, while the only ones who suffer are the Uchiha family. Kyochi pondered for a moment, and roughly understood the psychology of Black Zetsu and Madara. They don't feel much belonging to the Uchiha clan. Special Black Zetsu. As long as the infinite Tsukuyomi plan can be achieved, let alone the death of a few Uchihas, what does it matter to him if he dies up and down? A descendant of Otsutsuki Yuya anyway. Huo didn't feel distressed at all. Switching places, Kyochi may have thought the same way. He picked up his pen and began to reply. After finishing writing, asked Katsuyu to take it to Konoha. Stand still. Don't be afraid of thieves stealing, but be afraid of thieves thinking about it. Kyochi doesn't care who Black Zetsu and Madara want, but they keep their eyes on Konoha, and they really can't move freely. Special Institute. A lot of research is currently difficult for him to take to the Research Institute, because he is afraid that Black Zetsu will notice there. The chaos is over, and the people Madara needs have been obtained, so he can start the next step on his side. In fact, at this time, Madara is still struggling with who to choose. Who do you think is better? Shisui was taken away, and even in Konoha, I don't recommend it. He is too smart, and he can easily become Nagato's current situation. At that time, the plan will not work, and it may lead to the exposure of our place. Black Zetsu whispered. Madara nodded, eyes closed in thought. After a while, he said, I have 2 candidates. One is Uchiha Obito. This kid has a kind nature and a simple mind. He is best at being rebellious and manipulative. If arranged properly, he may have a chance to awaken Mangekyo. Yes, but the Obito you know, I'm afraid it's not the current one. Recently, Kyochi Kanda arranged a series of educational classes for him, instilling a lot of things. Black Zetsu said. Yeah. If not, there is only one candidate, so my other candidate is Uchiha Fugaku's son, and his talent should be good. I understand your choice. Itachi, he is still young, and his age is just right. We can teach him from a young age and teach him to be what we want. After Madara finished speaking, she closed her eyes and sat down on the chair wearily. With the Gedo statue, he's not dead yet, but his old body has already lost the possibility of getting out from here, and once it is discovered, fortunately, he has arranged multiple times, making it almost impossible to be discovered here. Otherwise, Madara is going to think about it, kill herself now and let Black Zetsu hide. Nanga Shrine. Several Uchiha elders gathered together. This is the shrine of the Uchiha clan. Before joining Konoha, they lived in Nangagawa, but now it has become the place where their clan gathers secretly. That Fugaku guy has been completely brainwashed, we can't count on him to revive Uchiha. Didn't we talk about it once before? Let's lurk and wait for the opportunity? It was the former great elder of Uchiha who spoke. Uchiha Wei. He was the dominant player before, but his proposition was to sit still and wait for the opportunity to come. However, obviously no chance now. The opportunity has come. Konoha looks strong now. In fact, many Jonin have left Konoha due to the recent backlog of tasks. Uchiha Yuki paused for a moment. Elder Wei frowned, waiting for him to continue. Kyoshi left Konoha the day before yesterday. Namikaze Minato hasn't returned yet. Many other Jonin are on task, and Anbu has been mobilizing people because of the root organization. How do you know this? Uchiha Megumi felt something was wrong. It was a secret. Maybe Anbu's sub-captain didn't know about it, and Uchiha Ji didn't have a high status in the clan. Otherwise, Fugaku didn't dare to touch him either. In everyone's opinion, that guy just wanted to pick a weak persimmon, and it happened that Ji stood up and hit the muzzle of the gun. Otherwise Fugaku's character might not dare to do it. And now, in a short period of time, Ji Uchiha got some incredible information. Of course everyone has to doubt the authenticity. My information is absolutely true. As for the way, it's not Danzo anyway. Uchiha Ji said seriously. Everyone fell silent. Not Danzo? Who revealed the information? Could it be Kyoshi Kanda? That was too scary. And that guy can really do it. The more Uchiha Megumi thought about it, the more frightened she became, and she said cautiously, it's not Danzo. Could it be that Kanda Kyoshi revealed it on his own initiative, hoping that we would take the bait? Not him. Uchiha Ji smiled. I created it with illusion, and no one found out that I did it. Uchiha Megumi looked at him suspiciously. Not looking down upon. But he really didn't think this clansman was that strong. Although the opponent's illusion was quite good when he was young, but now that he is old, his physical function and chakra are declining. I know you don't believe it, it's okay, I can show you. After Uchiha Ji finished speaking, Goyu's eyes twirled. Next moment, everyone seemed to be in an endless fiery purgatory, scorching with boundless flames, and the burning sensation and pain were so real that it was difficult to distinguish. The scariest thing is, they found. I can't solve it myself. What level of illusion is this? How is this possible? Uchiha Wei was a little unacceptable. This guy has always been inferior to him. Why is the illusion now advancing by leaps and bounds, and he is even stronger than him? Do not. This illusion, could it be that? Have you awakened the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan? That's not yet, but recently I found that my pupil power has become a lot stronger. You can't solve it because my pupil power and illusion are stronger than yours. Hehe. I really want to thank Uchiha Fugaku. It's not him. How is it possible to have the current strength? Uchiha Ji lifted the illusion and laughed wildly. Everyone was silent. They still felt pitiful when Uchiha Ji was kicked out that day, but looking at it now, it was them who were pitiful. This guy was insulted, at least he saw the edge of Mangekyo. And they. Watching myself getting old and walking towards death step by step. Is this your confidence? Megumi Uchiha sighed. Not Mangekyo, but the power is already terrifying. However, he still doesn't think Uchiha Ji will succeed. Because it's not just Uchiha Fugaku he's fighting against now. And Konoha village. Of course not. It's still very early to use it to overthrow Konoha's rule, but my idea is, let's leave Konoha, develop and survive elsewhere, and build our own village. Uchiha Ji revealed his original intention. He looked at everyone and said, there shouldn't be too many people. Who of you is going to follow me? This is a proposition. People grow old. Who among these elders doesn't know the way? I really want to object. Maybe today, they will die here. But, is it really reliable to leave the village? In the village, at least the rest of my life can be better. If I go outside, if I fail to establish a village, I will be chased and killed as a traitor. or I will encounter enemies who are spying on Sharingan. They hesitated. Old buddies, we don't have much time to hesitate. I still regret that I didn't go with Lord Madara back then. Now another opportunity is in front of everyone. Do you want to choose to stay again? Uchiha G's madness is revealed. This basically means that Madara had such a good temper back then, but he didn't. Gee, are you serious? Of course, I'm going to take Fugaku's son away. I'm going to teach him to be an adult, and then come back and kill Konoha's Uchiha, ha ha ha. He laughed wildly. Everyone has only one feeling. This man is crazy. And it's still the kind of rational madness that makes people shudder, and they can't refuse it. To refuse is to die. Uchiha did it first, not to mention that Kyoshi didn't expect it, and Danzo didn't expect it at all, so at this time, Danzo was also in ecstasy. With Uchiha attracting firepower, his sense of security has greatly increased. However, Danzo still underestimated Kyoshi's obsession with him. Actually, Uchiha at this point, Kyoshi doesn't care at all. No matter how big Madara is, it won't be so big that it will kill the entire Uchiha. In Madara's state, if he really wants to make such a mess, he will die of laughter. Unfortunately, just in case Madara found himself aware that something was going to happen to Itachi, he didn't leave the Flying Thunder God mark ahead of time. Madara must have recognized that thing. After all, Izuna died from this move, and Madara couldn't be more impressed. But at this moment, Kyoshi couldn't return to Konoha immediately. He wanted to go back, and all the fish were scared away. Danzo hasn't made a move yet. He only contacted some of the marginal retired root members, and did not touch the key bait of Yukushi Nanoyu and Yukushi Kabuto. In addition, no trace of Yamato has been found so far. One of these two is enough. Both sides are fighting for patience. After arriving at Rain Shinobi Village, Kyoshi and the others did not go to see Hanzo first, but walked around Rain Shinobi Village, took a look around, and waited for a day. Only then did Hanzo send someone over and take the initiative to find Kyoshi. Have to say, Hanzo's office is very dark, and the outside itself is very dark, but his office is even darker, and he doesn't even turn on a light when he enters. Combined with the masked shadow, this feeling, it is beyond words. Kyoshi held back the feeling of complaining, and calmly pulled a chair and sat down. Of all the people who come into my office, you are the youngest and the calmest. Hanzo's voice was low. Kyoshi smiled and said casually, calm comes from strength. Hanzo was silent for a moment, and then said, you are very direct, and your attitude towards me seems to be slightly different from what I know from Yahiko. Because Yahiko is very simple, his goal is really just to change Rain Shinobi Village, to make the ninja world peaceful, and in your case, I think peace is just a side goal of yours. When Kyoshi said this, Orochimaru came to mind. That guy is the same type. Orochimaru's goal is immortality, but in the process, he doesn't mind pursuing a genin technique, forbidden technique knowledge, etc., because the two do not affect. In Kyoshi's view, Hanzo is also this type of person. He is not as pure as Yahiko. After hearing the silence, Hanzo spit out a sentence after a while. No one can be as pure as Yahiko, so there is only one Yahiko. Is that how you see it? How? It's nothing, I'm just a little surprised. You think highly of Yahiko. I thought you would care more about Nagato. Kyoshi smiled. He deliberately mentioned Nagato, just to see Hanzo's attitude. But Hanzo just shook his head and said, Rinnegan is very powerful, but at present, I don't see where it is really powerful, but even so, Nagato's character is not a qualified leader. Indeed, Nagato is really not suitable as a leader. The Akatsuki organization he leads is basically a group of strong people gathered together, each doing its own thing. Certainly. That's because Yahiko died, and he was also disabled, leading to extreme personality. But Yahiko is not dead, and he has no decision-making ability. Because he doesn't think about these aspects at all, he just follows Yahiko, and Hanzo clearly sees this accurately. Control Yahiko and control Nagato. Hanzo is still the same Hanzo. But forget it, for Yahiko and the others, it may not be a bad thing, at least someone will take the blame for what they did. Just like Sarutobi Hiruzen, he does not intervene in Yahiko's decision-making, and the village's decision-making seems to be handed over to Yahiko. I have always wanted to talk to you, but looking at it now, it seems that there is no need to talk. The reason why you point Yahiko is because you believe that even if Rain Shinobi Village joins forces with Sanagakure and the others, Konoha can still win. Hanzo was silent for a moment after finishing speaking, and then sighed, I haven't felt the pride in the bones of the Senju clan for a long time. Sorry, I have to correct one point. This has nothing to do with the Senju clan, but I have confidence in the village, and I believe that my friends and partners will not betray me. Same, I want to ask you for advice. Hanzo was too lazy to argue. He looked at Kyochi, as if he saw Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama back then. Proud, powerful, and talented. This kind of people. Two is enough, and this generation of Senju, there is another one. Although his surname is not Senju, please say. Open up waterways and improve the environment in the northern part of the Kingdom of Wind. What if the Kingdom of Wind becomes too strong and wants to swallow us with the help of the ninja village? Hanzo said. He saw the hidden worry inside. Shaonin village can gain a firm foothold with the momentum of Sand Shinobi, but Sanagakure can also use this to turn against customers and swallow the entire ninja village circle. You have mastered the water source, and you have the final say on the affairs of the Kingdom of Wind, but I have a small suggestion. When opening up the water source, don't give too much. Restricting the Kingdom of Wind. Not only that, the rain country has a lot of rain, but once the mountain roads and waterways are opened, the climate may change a lot, and the water flow is too large, and the country of Sichuan may change in the future. Kyochi explained. If an artificial river is opened, the water flow will be diverted away, and the river water in the country of Kawa will be affected. The river opens up too big. Diversion, depletion can happen. In this way, how could Chuanuo country agree? Hanzo is not stupid, it's just that he didn't consider the country of Sichuan at first, because the country of Sichuan is too weak, and it is difficult to think of it with his strength. The foundation of the Shinobi Village Alliance is Shinobi Village, not Sanagakure and Rain Shinobi Village. I believe that if we follow this point, the alliance should be stable. Been taught a lesson. Hanzo stood up and bowed, full of respect. There are many Hanzo who may not understand. Only. As the leader of Rain Shinobi Village, there are many things he would not think of. For example, the country of Chuan. This is a country without Forbearance Village. How could he think about the harm that this incident would bring to the nation of Forbearance Village? But if you consider the entire Ninja Village Alliance, there is no doubt that the interests of the Ninja Village in the country must be taken into account, not just look at Sanagakure. It's okay to fight against Sanagakure, but Shinobi Village, this is his basic game. In any case, it cannot fall. I just don't want you to be swallowed by Sanagakure. Kyochi smiled. Hanzo nodded lightly, didn't say much, sat down and said, the 4 people you brought with you are planning to communicate with Rain Shinobi Village? By the way. Kyochi nods. Hanzo pondered for a moment, and realized that Kyochi might have some plans in the village, and that he came out this time just to trigger some conflicts in the village. This person looks young, but he really shouldn't be underestimated at all. The machine is hidden deep, he sighed in his heart. If Yahiko was half as good as Kyochi in terms of means, he would be happy. But think again. If Yahiko is really half of Kyochi, it is estimated that he is not Hanzo who is sitting in the seat now. Thinking of this, he couldn't help smiling, and sighed a bit. Of course, he also knew about the news of 3rd Hokage abdicating and Tsunade succeeding. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen does not represent the era, he is the epitome of the era, and even the mighty 3rd Raikage has become a piece of Lois now. Hanzo deeply felt the impact of the tide of the times. Perhaps. In the not-too-distant future, he will also face the same choice. Step back and give power to the young, but not now. Yahiko is still too immature, he needs to look again. Thinking of this, Hanzo's thoughts returned to the right track, and he completely clarified the next path. Stabilize the Ninja Village Alliance. As for how to grow in the future, that is not his business. This is Yahiko's task. Every time I see Yahiko and the others, I feel that the future of Rain Shinobi Village is promising, but when I see you, I feel that the future of Rain Shinobi Village still seems to be in the hands of others. Hanzo was a little emotional. He had always wanted to meet Kyochi before, to see what this Konoha young man was up to. Result. When this kid came up, he gave him a note of get off the horse, and a meeting ceremony, which made him admire. Master Hanzo was joking. I'm just an ordinary jonin from Konoha. How can I control other people's future? Besides, isn't every decision in Rain Shinobi Village made by you? Kyochi said with a smile. Hanzo shook his head. He vaguely felt that Kyochi had some plans behind him, but he couldn't guess the specific situation. He could only roughly guess that it might be related to the concept of Ninja Village Circle. Only. For now, the effect of this concept is beneficial to Rain Shinobi Village, including the newly built villages of Bird Country and Chuan Country. If there is no such thing as Ninja Village Circle, Sanagakure will never sit back and watch their quest count drop directly to 0 as a result. War is inevitable. And now. Boiling the frog in warm water, Sanagakure had to pinch his nose to recognize it, and Sanagakure himself also benefited. The climate and environment in the north improved. The impact on the Kingdom of the Wind is enormous. Kyochi stretched, stood up and flexed his muscles. Hanzo looked puzzled. What are you doing? Oh, someone asked me to help you beat you up. I happen to meet you now, so it's better to solve it now, otherwise I'm afraid you won't have a chance when you look back. Kyochi took out the knife. Demigod. He had long wanted to meet him. Ha, is that Tsunade? Hanzo couldn't help laughing. To make such a request, I think it's only her. That female ninja. Back then, I fought him with Orochimaru and Jiraiya. Although I couldn't kill him due to the situation, I had to give him the title of Sanin, but I have to admit. Those three are indeed genius ninjas, and Tsunade. He couldn't hold back anymore, and asked, is her gambling luck really that bad? Well, in a sense, there are only wrong names, not wrong nicknames. The legendary Fat Sheep, I can even hear this name in Rain Shinobi Village, it's really a skill. Hanzo sighed sincerely. He didn't leave the gate of Rain Shinobi Village, and didn't enter the second gate. As a result, the name of Fat Sheep kept spreading to his ears. Not because of Anbu. Rather, there are many people in the village who have won money on Tsunade. Change the venue? Also, Hanzo nodded. He opened the window, and the next moment, the two disappeared into the office at the same time. The speed is very fast. For so many years, Hanzo's skill has not declined, and his body flicker technique is still very strong. Certainly, he is not very old. This is also the reason. Kyochi observed secretly, a little admiring in his heart. Being able to achieve such strength in Shaonin Village, Hanzo is indeed worthy of the title of demigod, and the transplanted poison sac. This should be the earliest transplant, right? In a sense, Orochimaru didn't come earlier than him. Certainly. In the end, these belong to the rest of Orochimaru's play. They rushed all the way. At their speed, ordinary people can't see it at all, let alone catch up. However, there are still some exceptions. Like Nagato. He was experimenting with new techniques, and he accidentally noticed two ninjas moving at high speed. After careful perception, he realized that one of them was Hanzo. And another. Kanda Kyochi. I've seen it a few times before, but nothing much. He thought for a while and followed curiously. Minato was purely worried. He was able to spot it because Kyochi had his flying thunder god mark on him. In short, moments later, Kyochi followed Hanzo to the battlefield, and both found a tail behind them. And where the battlefield is? This is where the battle with Sanin used to be, right? Kyochi knew it. There are two following, do you need to clear it? Hanzo looked at Kyochi. Shouldn't I ask you this? You are a demigod. If you lose to me, it would be a bad thing. Kyochi smiled. Trash talk. He is not afraid of this. It is not embarrassing for a young man to lose to a demigod who has been famous for a long time, but if Hanzo loses, it will be a big embarrassment. After hearing this, Hanzo was silent for a moment, then shook his head and said, let's do it. It is good. Kyochi took out two knives. One Thor's sword, the other was a weapon forged from chakra iron, and Samahata these were not taken out. Hanzo was still the scythe. He put on a posture, ready to go. In a master's fight, victory or defeat is only a moment away, but a samurai. Even more so, swordsmanship flash, the two shot separately. The speed is very fast, and the naked eye can't see clearly at all. Minato only saw two blurred shadows, while Nagato has Rinnegan, but he can see the movements of the two clearly. Come to ultimate. The key is, both of them can master this speed, and at high speed, they can change moves and respond freely. Kanda Kyochi's strength, stronger than before. When there was a crisp sound, the sword and sword parted, and the two passed by, Hanzo's face became a little more dignified. A formidable enemy indeed, however. I haven't experienced your sword skills before, but judging from this move, you are not as powerful as I imagined. Kyochi sighs. Hanzo's swordsmanship is very fast, but after so many years, there is still only that one move, without any innovation and strengthening. Sailing against the current, if you don't advance, you will retreat. Switch to ninja. It's the same. Such a Hanzo, when Madara struggles to come out, I am afraid that he will be taught to be a human being. So, Kyochi decides, I'll come first. I'm going to be serious. Hanzo didn't speak, and the expression on his face under the mask couldn't be seen clearly. But Kyochi felt that he had become more serious. Very good. The next moment, Kyochi blinked again. Just as Hanzo was about to make a move, he felt the hairs all over his body stand on his head. He retreated instantly, but saw a jet of water coming towards him. Quick. And there is also current surrounding it. Ninja sword? He backed away quickly, but a figure appeared behind. So fast. Hanzo didn't have time to think about it. He quickly formed a seal. Several detonating symbols were set off under his feet, and he left in an instant. However, The detonator explodes. A wind sword came with a wave of fire. Meanwhile, Kyochi charged out unscathed. A moment of doubt flashed in Hanzo's mind, and then he noticed Kyochi's black body slowly receding. Earth Spear. Hanzo understood. At high speeds, it is inevitable that you will not be able to respond perfectly, but if you cooperate with various defensive techniques, you will have no fear. Cope well. He stepped back to make a seal, and in an instant, the water rushed towards Kyochi, and Hanzo rushed towards Kyochi in an instant. The water failed to slow him down, but, the next moment, he discovered. Kyochi was also unaffected, and between the seals, the water created by Hanzo instantly turned into a giant Uzumaki, and the chaotic water flowed down to hide the water blade. Although Hanzo could control them freely, he had to avoid them. Aggrieved, he was somewhat suspicious. Did this kid target himself in advance? Certainly. He has also heard a little about the reputation of Kyochi water style. So soon, Hanzo dismissed that idea by himself. He compared it and found that if he didn't use poison, he might not be able to get Kyochi. But, the moment Kyochi came out, he swung the sickle, the chain wrapped around Kyochi, and the blade swirled strangely. The key is, his speed is so fast that most people can't dodge it. This is his trump card. However, the next moment, he saw Kyochi speed up again, surpassing the speed of his scythe in an instant. In an instant. Already he felt a biting cold on his skin. That's the feeling of the blade. Long time. It's been a long time since I felt like I was between life and death. He was somewhat taken aback. Kyochi put away the knife. Hanzo was blunt. Having not experienced a life and death battle for a long time, his physical response has dropped a lot, and he is not very suitable for high-speed duels. Certainly. Even if the strength declines, it cannot be forced out by ordinary people. Only by reaching the speed and strength of Kyochi and Minato can the part of Hanzo who is now declining be exposed, and the master's moves, these flaws alone are fatal. No wonder Mifune was able to beat him. Power is a good thing, but it corrupts a person and makes him less powerful. Gone. Kyochi turned to Rain Shinobi Village and returned. Have you become weaker? Hanzo stood in the rain speechless for a while, not knowing how to answer, but at this moment, Kyochi didn't need an answer. Hanzo lost. Nagato thought that Hanzo might not be Kyochi's opponent. After all, Kyochi's strength is indeed strong, but he didn't expect Kyochi to win so simply. Certainly. Hanzo's strength is still strong, but Nagato felt that he did not have the feeling of oppression that he described. Although Hanzo hadn't used poison yet, that kind of poison was useless against cage-level powerhouses. So, Hanzo wants to talk about the cards he hasn't played yet. From his understanding, if he didn't have one, he simply wasn't an opponent. Kyochi restrained him too much. Hanzo looked at the scythe in his hand, and did not speak for a long time. After a few seconds, he sighed, put away the scythe and walked towards Rain Shinobi Village silently. There's only Nagato and another ninja from Konoha here. As far as reputation is concerned, unless Kyochi takes the initiative to promote it, it won't affect much, but what he cares about is not this, but Kyochi's words. Power corrupts a person. These years. Hanzo has to admit that since the Second Ninja World War, he has rarely participated in external affairs, let alone honed his sword skills. As Kyochi said, his swordsmanship has not changed for a long time. Although it is still powerful, it is not as powerful as the opponent's combination of ninja swordsmanship. And that knife seems to be quite similar to his flash. Master Hanzo, Kyochi Kanda has just participated in the war, and his swordsmanship is honing to perfection, but you are restrained by him in terms of speed. It is not normal for you to be an opponent. Nagato, your consolation may be rusty and annoying, but I still thank you. Hanzo was a little depressed at first, but at this moment he couldn't help but laugh out loud. With Nagato's usually taciturn character, it's not easy to be able to talk so much. Although some comforting words are annoying, they are also reasonable. Kyochi restrained him too much. He is good at swordsmanship, taijutsu and water-style ninjutsu. However, Kyochi is stronger than him in swordsmanship, taijutsu and water style. Special water style. That kind of water style made him unconsciously think of Senju Tobarama back then. The same terrifying talent and strength. Nagato remained silent and watched quietly from the sidelines. He was indeed not good at comforting others, and what he said just now was the result of his deliberation. However, the effect does not seem to be good. Kyochi returned to the residence with the knife and began to think about the situation just now. Hanzo's strength has dropped a lot. Body art and swordsmanship still need to be practiced more frequently, otherwise it will be like Hanzo. It is not obvious in a duel with ordinary people, but it will be obvious in a master's fight. As for Madara and Senju Hashirama, their level is no longer comparable to ordinary people. Although Hanzo is known as a half-god, as a time traveler, he is very aware of the gap between Hanzo and Madara and Senju Hashirama. So, Kyoshi just felt sad, but not very happy. Not long after, Minato approached him quietly, sneakily, as if afraid of being followed. "What are you doing? We've already entered Rain Shinobi Village, so don't hide too much." Kyoshi was puzzled. "Hey, that's Hanzo." Minato coughed lightly. Winning a demigod, such a record, if publicized, Kyoshi's reputation will increase a lot, but Kyoshi just shook his head. The weakened Hanzo is no longer the demigod he used to be, and he hasn't summoned the salamander yet. Maybe he can play a stronger role with the salamander. "Don't you also hide a lot of techniques?" Minato doesn't think this battle is watery. Although it's just a few fights, from their perspective, they can immediately see who is strong and who is weak when they fight. "No point." Kyoshi shook his head slightly. "Famous for what? There is no reward." "That's right. What's going on in the village? When do you need my help?" Minato asked in a low voice. Kyoshi used chakra to detect, and after confirming that there was no one around, he told him about the current situation of the village. "Uchiha is going to mess up," Minato said with some surprise. "Those elders want to rebel? Do they have the guts?" "Normal people may not have it, but Uchiha, no one can tell. One is that their blood succession limit needs emotional stimulation. Under this kind of emotion, there is no certainty that there will be a breakthrough. Uchiha's blood succession limit is too unstable. It is this instability that makes Senju Tobirama very afraid. So, Fugaku's choice is undoubtedly stupid. If we had just killed those elders as Shisui said at the beginning, nothing would happen now. Even if the clan is exterminated, to put it bluntly, Kyoshi has no sympathy. It's a pity at most. After all, Uchiha is a powerful family in Konoha. Without Uchiha, the village's strength would inevitably decline. Kyoshi is still waiting for news. As far as the current situation is concerned, accidents may happen at any time. Not just Uchiha. And Danzo. Hanzo faced the wall and reflected. He can accept failure, but he cannot accept such an easy failure. Although the salamanders were useless, he did lose in swordsmanship and ninjutsu, and after returning, Hanzo collected information and found that he was indeed behind. This Kanda Kyoshi. Not only is ninjutsu, body art and swordsmanship very strong, but he also has a very powerful seal technique. It is suspected that he defeated the tailed beast Jinchuriki alone. Such combat power. Coupled with his highly overlapping fields of expertise, it is not wrong for him to lose. Certainly. Hanzo is not only considering his own problems, but also Rain Shinobi Village. Ninjutsu is very difficult to create, but ninja sword art may not be impossible to ponder. This is a direction that can allow genin people to practice. Is this considered learning from Konoha in an all-round way? Hanzo thought for a while, and finally gave up the entanglement. Learn and learn. People are strong, and learning is not ashamed. At this time, he was about to ask Konan to come over, but when he asked, he found out that Konan was presiding over the communication between the ninjas of the two villages. Come to the scene. Kyoshi and the disguised Konoha shinobi are also on the list, and the 3 children brought by Kyoshi Kanda under the competition, if I remember correctly. The one with silver hair should be Hitaki Kakashi, son of White Fang. As for the other 2, he didn't know much. Their opponent is a Chunin squad. Facing Konoha's team, they were no match at all. Konoha fits a little better. Hanzo couldn't help but look a few more times, especially the other 2, who almost unanimously cooperated with Kakashi to fight, and maximized Kakashi's advantages. Speed, assassination. But these 3 are Konoha's geniuses, and it's not surprising that they can have such strength, but the 3 Rain Shinobi's ninjas can compete with Kakashi and the others like this, which is already considered rare. Hanzo quietly called Nagato over. Yahiko is not there, Konan is busy below, so I can only call Nagato to ask. Those 3 cooperate well, so it should be worth cultivating, right? Nagato was a little embarrassed. Hanzo was stunned for a moment, knowing that there might be something else hidden here. Master Hanzo, Konoha have basically revealed to us Kakashi and the 3 of them's strength, ninjutsu and coordination, and Konan has been training them all morning. Nagato finally told the truth frankly. Hanzoki is gone. After revealing the details, he trained for a whole morning, but he was still beaten like this. What a shame. But, thinking that I also lost to Kyoshi Kanda. The 3 of Konoha are really strong, and it's normal that they are not opponents. Well, there is another team tomorrow, it's the same? The corner of Hanzo's mouth twitched. It's not enough to hit once, come for the second time? This Conan said that this is to inspire everyone's fighting spirit and let everyone recognize their strengths, and then she will organize this batch of defeated ones into an elite class. Let Conan do it boldly. Come to me if you have any problems, and I will solve them. Hanzo nodded slightly. Nagato was a little surprised. He originally thought that Hanzo would ask about the situation and then go to Conan for an interview, because Hanzo was like this before, and he had to ask about everything. As a result, Hanzo didn't say anything, and just let Conan arrange it. This? Was he stunned by Kyochi? You guys have been messing around with school things lately. I'll sort out some materials later and let Conan try to teach them. Other ninja villages. Just treat them equally. Yes. Nagato nodded. He was a bit confused, but Hanzo's performance shocked him greatly. Obviously. One of Kyochi's fights with him brought about a small change in the Rain Shinobi village chief's mind. For now, it seemed to be for the better. Conan is very angry. Kyochi asked her to pick out the elites and train them according to the method of restraining Kakashi. She taught them all morning. These people are full of confidence. Result, when you hit it, you pull your hips. Only you are still the elites of Rain Shinobi village. All of you are proud and arrogant, thinking that a little strength is powerful, right? Look at them. Conan pointed outside. Even though it was raining, the three of Konoha were still exercising. The Rain Shinobi fell silent. These Konohas are too hard-working, right? And, for some reason, Rain Shinobi, who went to take the Chunin exam this time, also worked extremely hard after returning to the village. Is Konoha really that scary? The second team started training. You can continue tomorrow. Yes. Conan left with a cold face, but actually. She left, but her origami clone was still watching secretly. These Chunin also started exercising. It is good. Conan was greatly encouraged. A good beginning is half the battle. The foundation is there. Improving the atmosphere of Rain Shinobi village is just around the corner. At this time, she also got good news from Nagato. Hanzo didn't intend to ask, but let her figure it out. Before, there was never such treatment. Master Hanzo must have also discovered the necessity of the atmosphere, so you don't hesitate to support me, right? Conan was a little thrilled to be recognized. Nagato had mixed feelings. He intended to tell the truth, but after thinking about it, he nodded slightly and did not reveal the truth. After all, the truth, it's a bit confusing to say. Could it be telling Conan that Hanzo was beaten up by Kyochi and his temperament changed drastically after he came back? No one in Rain Shinobi village would believe it if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes. That night, Hanzo worked hard to write. He figured it out. His own strength grows stronger with age, and sooner or later he will be surpassed by the people behind him. But, as long as he doesn't lag behind, he can still lead Rain Shinobi village. So, he's going to write down his knowledge and teach it to the Rain Shinobi ninjas. In Hanzo's view, Kakashi and the others are already very strong, and they still achieved a crushing victory even though the information was completely leaked. Such a result. In any case, they should not be allowed to train in the rain. However, Konoha's educational methods seem to be so outrageous. He looked at Kakashi and the others from a height, and for a moment he understood why both Yahiko and Conan said there was something wrong with the atmosphere of Rain Shinobi village. Compared with Konoha, their vibe does appear to be a little more laid back. But, logically speaking, shouldn't it be their little ninja village who is working hard and thinking about how to improve and overtake? Why is it the other way around? The world is so confusing that he can't understand more and more. It can only be said that Kyochi's educational methods are really turning decay into magic. Even this kind of genius is not arrogant in victory or discouraged in defeat, which is daunting. That's right. Kakashi, they were indeed punished. Although I won, but it doesn't prevent Kyochi from punishing them. There are many reasons for wanting to punish them. For example, Chunin from Rain Shinobi just beat you like this. Is this the cooperation you are proud of? Mu Yi Tiankai, that's it. Every sentence mocked layman. Special Kakashi. Little did he know that they'd been caught off guard because an insider had completely betrayed their tactics and even secretly instructed Conan on how to target them. Totally inappropriate. Minato watched the process, and said that he was not cruel enough, nor thick-skinned enough. He needs 50% of Kyochi's cheekiness and ruthlessness. Kakashi, they will not be brought into that by themselves. Certainly. Although he admired it, he had no desire to learn. Forget about Kakashi and Shisui. Even Kuroyuki is treated equally, without any preferential treatment at all. This teaching method is too harsh. Can't learn. Kyochi is also good for them. The enemy will not stop on rainy days. They must adapt to such weather, otherwise they will suffer a lot in future missions. Back to the hotel. He was going to think about what reason to torture Kakashi and the others tomorrow, but he received a message from Katsuyu. Master Kyochi, with the help of Orochimaru and Toshiki Kazeji, we found traces of the Hashirama cell experiment body hidden in the root tissue, but Danzo seems to be moving the base, and we quickly lost their whereabouts. Found it. But not quite found. Kyochi took a closer look and understood why this happened. Toshiki's wood-style ninjutsu is terrible. Although he learned the secret art of using plants and trees as eyes of perception from Kyochi, he still doesn't master this art well enough to monitor and track perfectly. But as long as there is a general range, Kyochi is not afraid to find it. And at the same time, it also states the current status of Uchiha. Those elders returned to the family and seemed to do nothing, but Kyochi could tell there must be something wrong on their side, and Madara and Black Zetsu would not let this chance pass. And now, Kyochi needs to sneak back to Anbu. Uchiha may have civil strife at any time, and the scale does not know how large it will be. Without knowing it, he must deal with it in advance. He quietly found Minato. Minato, please send me back to Anbu in Konoha. As for this side, you can use the transformation technique to change into my appearance and sit here temporarily. Understood. Be careful. Minato looked serious. The distance from the land of rain to Konoha is quite far, even if he is only enough for Chakra to send Kyochi back, but not for himself to be with him. And Kakashi and the others also need someone to take care of them. Although Konan and Nagato will not attack Kakashi and the others, what if a spy ninja from any village tries to assassinate them? This kind of thing is not unheard of. Fishing is important, and Kakashi's safety is also extremely important. This is Kyochi's first experience with the long-distance flying thunder god. Have to say, the experience is quite poor, and the transformation of the space is difficult to adapt to. The confusion and tearing are even more outrageous than the turbulence of an airplane. Fortunately, it's also just not very comfortable. Compared with third Raikage sending technique to the front line by Sky, Flying Thunder God's long-distance teleportation is basically not life-threatening, so it is very reliable. He put on the mask and came out from inside. Master Tiger, you are back. Kyochi's mask and provisional codename is Tiger, which he had communicated with Kazuki Tsukiko before, so when he saw the tiger mask, he reacted immediately. Kyochi is back. He immediately breathed a sigh of relief. To be frank, during this period of time, Yu Guangyimu couldn't sleep at night. Kyochi went out by himself, throwing such a big game to him to maintain. If he made a wrong move and messed up the game, it would be a deadly game. Now this burden is finally let go. How's it going? Tora-sama, Uchiha can't see the situation for the time being. Mukai and a ninja from Hyuga are guarding around. If there is any movement, we will report it immediately. Go and see. Kyochi pondered for a moment, a little uneasy. Anbu is quite far away from Uchiha. If they wait for the information from the front before dispatching, Uchiha may be completely cold. This can't be blamed on Moonlight Kazuki. He is only the team leader, and his strength is also very limited. It is not easy to maintain such a situation. How dare he get too close? Do you need to assemble? No, just a few of us. Kyochi shakes his head. The situation on Uchiha's side is not clear for the time being, so he wants to take a closer look. As for the means, arriving near the Uchiha clan, Kyochi performed seals, and then pressed his hands on the ground. Soon, the grass grew little by little. This is... Moonlight Kazuki was puzzled at first, but was soon dumbfounded. He saw the grass grow little by little along the road, and the grass mixed with the surrounding weeds. If he hadn't seen its growth up close, he wouldn't have noticed it at all. And now it is night. No one will notice the condition of the weed pile. Witness this scene. Moonlight Kazuki was a little surprised, but felt it should be taken for granted. Even Toshiki can do wind festivals, not to mention Master Kyochi. His wood style will only become stronger, and what he shows now is just the tip of the iceberg. He watched quietly for a while, and then observed the surrounding situation. Kyochi used chakra to grow vegetation all the way to the Uchiha clan land, and he can roughly perceive the current situation of the clan land. Where do those clan elders in Uchiha live? They all live in one place, in the northeast corner of the clan land, with the lake in front, and the location is the best. That would be more convenient. Kyochi smiled. There are lawns all over there. There is no need to carefully cast spells along the route, just go straight. Not for a while. He covered the whole area with grass. Not only Uchiha Yuki and Uchiha Megumi, but even Uchiha Fugaku's home is under his surveillance. Although he can't hear the sound, he can feel it. In Fugaku's house, besides Fugaku, Makoto and Itachi, there is a fourth person. This chakra breath. Uchiha Megumi. Kyochi thought for a moment, then looked at Tsukiko Kazuki. Uchiha's oldest clan elder. I remember his name is Uchiha Megumi, right? Did he attend the meeting of Nanga Shrine? Of course, he had a lot of power before, but now he has been relieved by Fugaku. In terms of grievances, it should be the biggest. Moonlight Kazuki said. Kyochi thought for a while, and couldn't help but smiled and said, I sense that this old thing is in Fugaku's home. If there is no accident, this old guy is probably an informer. He is indeed the leader of the surrender faction back then. Ah? So, he wasn't the one who took the lead. Moonlight was a little surprised. He has always regarded Uchiha Wei as an imaginary enemy. According to Kyochi, this guy actually has no intention of rebelling, but intends to surrender and live in peaceful life. This, strange, who else? I guess there will be civil unrest in Uchiha tonight, you go gather your troops. Yes. Moonlight led the way. Kyochi perceives the family land of the Uchiha family through these grasses, but just now, Uchiha-ji went out, but the difference is, the current Uchiha-ji's breath is very mixed. Not just his breath, he immediately went to where Mukai was. Not for a while, he found the cat-faced ninja lurking. Grown-ups. You come with me. Yes. Mukai didn't ask much, although Kyochi's hair and other features were camouflaged, but he said before that this tiger mask was never used once. This is the first time. Seeing the tiger mask, it is probably Kyochi. He followed Kyochi all the way, and found that Kyochi sneaked directly into Uchiha's clan from the other side of Uchiha, and stopped at a relatively marginal position. My lord, they are assembled. No, there is something wrong with someone's chakra. This power. Mukai was very surprised. There is a chakra who is very powerful, beyond all others, especially those eyes, which contain quite terrifying power. Can Sharingan be so powerful? Is his chakra one of a kind? This. I can't see it, I can only vaguely feel that his chakra is very strong, and it is a bit different from other people. My lord, otherwise we will go to the Hyuga family, he has 2 eyes, maybe it is clearer some. Mukai was a little ashamed. At such a critical moment, but lack of ability. He only has 1 eye. Although he didn't use caged bird, the effect is still a bit worse. If he had 2 eyes, it might not be effective. Certainly. This is just his guess. Kyochi shook his head. That's too late. And the branch house may not be able to see clearly. Madara's daring to make a move means that he has absolute confidence that he will not be seen through by blind eyes, so. Probably not illusions or anything like that. But some skills of Tongli. This is an area unfamiliar to all foreigners. Then what to do? Wait until Uchiha gets messed up. Kyochi said. He could be sure that Madara was involved, but there was no proof. After all, they know so little about Sharingan. Even if Kyochi has all kinds of knowledge about animation, it is still just a drop in the bucket, without deep knowledge at all, and unable to understand the specific skills of Hitomi. Now, he sensed that inside Uchiha, 2 factions had assembled. Uchiha Yuki is out. In contrast, Fugaku has just finished talking with Megumi Uchiha. It is clear. Black Zetsu is lurking somewhere, otherwise it would be impossible for Uchiha-ji to learn of the Great Elder's mutiny so quickly. Fugaku, you have to hurry up, you'd better contact the village, G. He's already crazy, how could that kind of plan succeed, even if he got that kind of eyes? Uchiha Wei was terrified. Go home. He thought for a long time, and finally decided to meet Fugaku in secret, tell Uchiha-ji's plan, and let Fugaku come forward to solve Uchiha-ji. After listening to the elder's words, Fugaku secretly regretted it. I should have known. At the beginning, we should have listened to Shisui's words and dealt with those elders directly, especially Uchiha-ji who was beaten out by him, otherwise, why did we come to this point? However, now there is no room for regret. Fugaku stood up and said, Elder, you go back first, and I will call the members of the guard immediately. You go back and find out their plans. If you are in danger, go to the guard, and the guard will protect you. It's alright. The corner of Uchiha Hui's mouth twitched, a little dissatisfied. It's time. Still let him go back? You want me to die, right? But he knew what Fugaku was thinking, and he was just worried that he might be Uchiha Yuki's spy, told him these tricks to gain trust, and then took Itachi away. Not so. That's all. He sighed and reminded again. Fugaku, you must be decisive, you must take them down quickly, otherwise we Uchiha may experience another catastrophe, and the village. I see. Fugaku nodded seriously. Back then, Uchiha was unable to gain the trust of all Konoha families and high-level officials, except for the influence of Senju Tobarama, because a rebellion had just been created. Otherwise, as far as the status of each family is concerned, it may not be impossible to find some supporters. And now. Finally, Uchiha and Konoha's attitude eased, and the honeymoon period is about to usher in. At this point in time, another rebellion broke out, and the few remaining voices on the guard side may also be lost to others. Fugaku could make the guard join members of other families, but he doesn't want to give up the guard anyway, at least. Not yet. He got up to go out, but after thinking about it, he went upstairs and opened the room where Itachi was. Itachi just fell asleep. Fugaku, what's wrong? I just heard. It's nothing, those elders may be a little troublesome, I'll take Itachi to the guard. Fugaku was about to open the door as he spoke, and the next moment, he looked at Makoto and said, you should come too, it's not safe at home now. Is this so serious? Makoto was surprised. It sounds like a minor annoyance, but it doesn't sound like that at all, it sounds like a rebellion. She knew that she couldn't ask more questions at this time, so after instinctively asking, she immediately went into the house and began to pack her things. Not much to tidy up. They didn't care too much about money. On the contrary, ninjutsu scrolls and some family documents were more important. Fugaku didn't stop him, but went in to wake Itachi up. After that, he was taken to the guard, however. Not long after their family left home, they sensed a bunch of ninjas coming here. Not good. Fugaku's expression changed, and he immediately accelerated. Itachi doesn't know what happened. He was in a daze at the moment. Makoto ran behind and comforted him, but Fugaku kept a cold face and didn't say a word. Uchiha Ji did it so quickly. How is this possible? Fugaku was horrified. The current situation was not what he expected at all. When he wants to come. Even if Uchiha Ji knew that Uchiha Megumi had betrayed him, he would have to wait at least a while before gathering, but the reality is that Uchiha Megumi had only been out for less than a minute. That guy is so well informed. Do you have eyeliner? Fugaku's thoughts are confused. He can't manage many things at this time, and there is only one purpose at the moment. Hurry up to the guard. Compared to Fugaku, the current Uchiha Ji is much more decisive, and it doesn't look like his own style. I remember that in the Anbu data, the record about Uchiha Ji is that he has no opinions and does things more with the trend. Mukai was a little puzzled. Although the story of being kicked out of the conference hall by Uchiha Fugaku is widely circulated in Anbu and various families, it is not possible to change a person's temperament to such an extent. Kyochi smiled and said, very well, with such observation skills, you have the first ability to become Captain Anbu. My lord is joking, I'm not qualified. I just said it casually, I just thought it was a bit strange. Mukai was ashamed. No, you're right, this Uchiha Ji is definitely not ordinary. You mean, there's really someone behind it? Not necessarily. The Sharingan of the Uchiha family is extremely mysterious. You mentioned earlier that he has an unusually powerful chakra in his eyes. Maybe Ultimate's emotional changes have brought about some changes. Kyochi said. Mukai recalled the Anbu books he had read and recalled things about Uchiha, but there were not many records about Uchiha's situation. Is it the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan that only Uchiha Madara has? Mukai screamed, then quickly lowered his voice. Do not know. Strong emotions, it is indeed possible to spawn Mangekyo, but for now, Kyochi's inclination is that Uchiha Ji has not yet born Mangekyo Sharingan. If he awakens Mangekyo, Madara doesn't need to abduct others at all, just take Uchiha Ji away. It's getting old, but the Mangekyo Sharingan is such a timeless thing that any Uchiha clan can use it. So, this Uchiha Ji is probably too useless, and he hasn't awakened yet, but his pupil power has increased slightly, and with the help of Madara and Black Zetsu, his strength may have improved a lot. But it's nothing to be afraid of. Unless Sharingan has the strength to summon a complete Susanoo, Kyochi is not too afraid, and a complete Susanoo, even Madara can't do it now. His original eyes were on Nagato's side, but the current eyes are probably 3 Tomo Sharingan who was prostituted in the war. 3 hooks are not enough to activate Susanoo. Uchiha Ji. Probably not qualified enough to reach this level. My lord, it's messed up. Fugaku ran away with his wife and children and is now heading for the guard. When will we intervene? I already know. Xiao Xiao hasn't come back yet. Wait a minute, let Uchiha suffer. Kyochi sneered. A group of people acted on the wind, thinking that Fugaku could make Uchiha stronger, and this time they have to let them know that Fugaku is completely unreliable. As for the ferret. Although Shisui's teaching time is short, but according to Shisui, the current Itachi has understood most of the things. Even if Madara's target is Itachi, there may not be no possibility of instigating rebellion in the future. And Obito here. Although he is still tough, it is not a concern even if he is taken away. According to Kyochi's perception, Fugaku took Makoto and Itachi to escape frantically at this time, and he paid the price for his own procrastination. Listening to any of Shisui's and Uchiha's suggestions would not lead to the current situation. However, he didn't listen to any of them. Perfectly circumvents the correct answer. They are about to catch up. You take Itachi and go to the guards for help. I will resist here. Fugaku glanced behind him. The people of Uchiha Yuki have appeared. He kind of regretted it. If the moment the elder finished speaking, he set off for the guard immediately, he might have already reached the guard by now. If you miss by a tiny bit, you can miss by thousands of miles. Now, he had to stay behind to get a chance for Itachi and Makoto. HMPH, Uchiha Fugaku, my target is not you, get the hell out of here. With me here, you can never think about it. In Fugaku's eyes, the three-pointed jade appeared. However, Uchiha Ji laughed loudly, and said madly, since you are looking for death, you can't blame me. The voice just fell. The jade hooks in his eyes rotated, and the three jades rotated. Fugaku didn't dare to fight against him. Uchiha Wei said that Ji's pupil power seemed to be stronger than before, and it was infinitely close to Mangekyo. In the illusion duel, he is definitely not the opponent. So, avoiding Uchiha Yuki's sight, he spewed great fireball from his mouth. I don't want to kill the enemy, I just want everyone to see the fire, and the guards rush over to support him in advance to ease the crisis on his side. However, the next moment, Uchiha Ji appeared beside him in an instant. Fugaku's face was full of surprise. How is this possible? This speed. He hastily switched positions with the body replacement technique, but then other Uchiha tribesmen killed him. Are you going crazy with Uchiha Ji? No one answered him. Everyone covered their faces and attacked silently, each shot fiercely without leaving room. Fugaku despaired. For some reason, Uchiha Ji's strength has increased greatly. He may not be an opponent if he fights alone, not to mention that there are a lot of people helping him now, and it will be a matter of time before he is killed. But the next moment, he saw Uchiha Ji disappear in front of him, and he was vigilant to deal with it, only to find that the other party had appeared in the extreme distance. The opponent's target is still Itachi? Is the obsession so deep? Over there, the guards should have noticed the situation and came here. Makoto and Itachi should be fine. No, they don't know Uchiha Ji's current strength. Fugaku was taken aback. He immediately wanted to catch up, but the ninjas around him kept coming. These tribesmen were fearless and vicious, leaving no room for them. Even he couldn't get away from such an attack. And ahead. The guards did notice this side and rushed to help this side at the same time, but Uchiha Yuki was faster and caught up with Makoto and Itachi first. Makoto, don't struggle anymore, give Itachi to me, and I will train him into an outstanding ninja and make him the patriarch of the new Uchiha. Uchiha Ji had a smile on his face. Impossible. Makoto took out his kunai and put on a fighting stance, while Itachi hid behind. I don't want to kill you, so, please sleep well. Uchiha Ji said lightly. Next moment, illusion activated. Itachi watched Makoto fall down. His eyes were full of surprise and panic. He still doesn't know how to refine chakra, let alone how to release the illusion. However, at this moment, a figure appeared. Although I don't know what happened here, Uchiha Ji, you shot Uchiha Makoto, can I regard you as a rebellion? Anbu? It came very quickly. Uchiha Yuki frowned. On his side, as soon as Uchiha Megumi entered Fugaku's house, he began to gather secretly, and finally did it at this time. But what happened to Anbu? Why can it be so fast? My lord, they are rebellious and want to arrest my child. Fugaku is also under siege, please save him. Makoto said hastily. However, the next moment, she saw the figure in front of her disappear in a flash, and when she realized it, the Anbu ninja in front of her had disappeared, and she turned her head. What about Itachi? Her mind went blank, she didn't know what happened, why Itachi disappeared in an instant, and she was clearly still behind her just now. Please report to the guard, and I will handle it here. Another Anbu ninja appears. HMPH, I admire your courage, but since I have already succeeded, there is no need to entangle with you. Uchiha Yuki finished. Mukai had appeared behind him, pointing to his acupuncture points. Gentle fist law 8 trigrams 32 palms. However, a strange layer of flesh appeared on Uchiha Ji's body surface, which directly blocked Mukai's acupoints, and then he slowly sank into the soil and disappeared before their eyes. Stop. Makoto kunai poked at him, but it was of no avail. Before her kunai arrived, the other party had disappeared into the soil. This earth-style speed. I don't remember Uchiha Ji being good at earth-style. Mukai was numb. He didn't know what happened. Just now, a layer of chakra that didn't belong to him suddenly appeared on the surface of this person's body, and it was that chakra that prevented him from acupuncture. Sorry, I'll try to track it down. After saying that, Mukai left quickly. At this moment, he didn't care too much. He wanted to chase Kyochi, but there was no trace of Kanda Kyochi and Uchiha Itachi in his eyes. Too fast. It's understandable that Kyochi is so strong, but what about Uchiha Itachi? Things about Uchiha are full of weirdness. He understood why Kyochi rushed out suddenly. Just now, Master Kyochi must have felt something that he didn't even notice with his own eyes. Outside Konoha village, Uchiha Itachi at the bottom is controlled by Black Zetsu in crazy earth style, while Kyochi is chasing wildly above. However, but Black Zetsu understands that Kyochi's speed can be further improved, and the other party just wants to chase Uchiha Itachi's breath all the way to his lair. Hateful. He didn't expect this guy to appear at all, and he was staring at this side so vigilantly, but it was too late for him to change his strategy temporarily. What should we do now? He is in a tangle. If you continue to bring Itachi, you will definitely not be able to return to Madara's side. That would basically lead wolves into the house, and Madara really can't beat him in the current situation. Give up? He was struggling, and finally sensed that Uchiha Yuki was coming this way quickly. Kyochi frowned. This mixed chakra breath, sure enough, this Uchiha Ji was planted with white Zetsu's body tissue, and his eyes were probably forcibly infused with pupil power. What is humiliated awakening? How can there be so many protagonist templates? If this old thing has that potential, why wait until now? It's been enough for decades. Trouble. Kyochi didn't want to tangle with him. Black Zetsu was fast and almost undetectable, and even he had to sense Itachi to lock his position. Once the distance is exceeded, it may never be possible to catch up again. So, I don't have time to play with trash like you. Roll. Kyochi not seal, when Uchiha Ji catches up and wants to attack with fire style. A rock giant propped the ground open. Earth style gangly style technique. Boom. With one palm, a big hole was directly blasted out where Uchiha Ji was. The rock giant roared, cracked the rocks, and smashed the Uchiha Ji out of hiding. Kyochi himself continued on. This technique has been transformed by him, and now the person who controls the giant is shadow clone at the core of the giant, and chakra is released from the center to control the whole body. With earth-style chakra, not only can it strengthen the rock giant, but it can also increase its power. The only pity is that Kyochi has not yet mastered the aggravated rock technique and the light and heavy rock technique, and the chakra consumption of this technique is also very large. So, for now, it's just a work in progress. However, against Uchiha, seems to work very well. Inside the stone statue, the position is mainly confirmed by perception, and it can just go there after knowing the position. Not yet. Uchiha Ji frowned and tried to walk away, but... Punch. Boom. The earth split open. Earth style can't do without it. It seems that it can only be broken. Lightning style. It's a little tricky. Lightning style does restrain earth style, but it also depends on the size, such a large-scale earth style ninjutsu, unless you have mastered a very powerful lightning style ninjutsu. Otherwise, even with restraint, it cannot be destroyed instantly. This moment, Madara, who can see this side through the spell, is silent. Facing the rock giant, he genuinely felt what everyone else felt when facing Susanoo. Difficult to deal with, there is no way around it. The key is, no matter how you look at this technique, it is aimed at Uchiha. Created by Senju Tobarama again. Wrong. That guy's earth style wasn't that strong. In a sense, this technique is actually a low-end version of Wooden Golem Jutsu, which can fight against the weaker Susanoo to a certain extent, and the effect seems to be pretty good. The key is, this stuff is probably not the final version yet. Madara took a deep breath. His blood pressure went up a bit, and this thing reminded him of some bad memories. And the key now is whether Black Zetsu can run away with Itachi. If it is really not possible, it is not impossible to give up Itachi. Uchiha Itachi is not the key factor. He could be replaced, and Itachi wasn't the only one who took away this time. Itachi was just the one he valued the most. Compared to Uchiha Itachi, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu are absolutely unacceptable. If something happens to these two, the risk of exposure on his side is too high, and Uchiha Ji cannot be caught. Otherwise Konoha's various interrogations and memory mining are enough to dig out some clues from his mind. Think here. He has a choice, give up the plan. However, in the current situation, it is no longer whether Black Zetsu should give up, but that he has to give up. This guy is chasing too hard. The key is, why is Earth style so fast? The truth is a bit outrageous. He was a little flustered. Although it was impossible to be caught, once he was found, it would not be so easy to investigate freely in the future. Especially the other party is a ninja who is very good at research. He decisively threw Itachi away. It also deliberately threw Itachi in a place where it was not easy to be rescued, forcing Kyochi to stay for a while. Underground contest, silent battle. To be frank, Black Zetsu really wants to pull Senju Tobarama out and whip his corpse now. He has completely figured it out. Flying Thunder God. Instantaneous spacetime ninjutsu. In Madara's memory, Senju Tobarama has only been used a few times, each time for short-distance teleportation, but that doesn't mean it can't be used for long-distance teleportation. Unwise. Black Zetsu's intestines were green with regret. This wave is absolutely fooled. Brat. Young and very bad-tempered, even more difficult to deal with than Senju Tobarama, and he dug a hole to wait for Uchiha to jump in, but he accidentally stepped on it. However, he didn't know that it was only incidentally that they were cheated, and it was mainly Danzo's side. Result. Black Zetsu was impatient, but stepped on it first. After rescuing Itachi, Kyochi regretted that the child was rescued but was lost by Black Zetsu. Forget it, it's not bad to save you. Kyochi sighs. Black Zetsu. The creation of yin and yang escape cannot be perceived, and it is so dark that it can escape from the ground. It is indeed a bit difficult to grasp. But it seems that Uchiha-ji can still try to save it. Kyochi walked back with the unconscious Itachi. Uchiha-ji was fleeing frantically, and while running, he also gathered several cronies who rebelled together. To be honest, looking back now, he feels that his defection was a bit inexplicable, as if it was all to take Uchiha Itachi away. But why? He was a little puzzled. Uchiha Itachi is not his grandson. Why is he so anxious to get angry? Uchiha-ji's thoughts didn't last long. But for a moment, with the effect of the heart spell and the illusion of pupil power, he fell into a state of being controlled again, because Madara noticed. That guy is chasing here again. Can't let him catch it. Otherwise, as far as this guy has the same personality as Senju Tobarama, he will definitely mine the information of this body down to the cellular level, and will not let go of any residual memories in his brain. But let's be honest. From such a distance, it is really difficult for someone to perfectly control that waste body to escape. Not even Madara can do it, fortunately. He has other plans. Seeing that Kyochi was about to catch up, Uchiha-ji formed a seal and turned around. A sea of flames rushed towards us. The fire is extinguished. Kyochi took out the scroll, and directly sealed the flames into the scroll with the seal of fire and the result. Next moment, he heard a loud explosion. The comatose Itachi was startled and trembled all over, but still did not wake up. Kyochi looked not far ahead. I saw only the front, surrounded by a strange jutsu. The flame of the detonating talisman burned the Uchiha-ji in the middle, and he even released a fire-style ninjutsu at the end. His cronies were dumbfounded. What is this operation? Self-destruct? They are stupid. These people follow Uchiha-ji, because Uchiha-ji is about to awaken Mangekyo, and they feel that following him may not have a better future. However, who would have thought that facing Konoha's Anbu, this person would directly choose to set himself on fire? This Anbu. Who is it? They were stunned together, then turned and ran. But even Uchiha-ji couldn't escape, not to mention they were not as good as Uchiha-ji. It didn't take long before they were all caught and knocked unconscious by Kyochi. Kyochi had no intention of killing them all. But he was thinking about whether he should take a pair of eyes and study it. Sharingan. This thing is really useful, but Kyochi sensed it and quickly gave up. One is the 3-Go Jade, which is not enough to produce a qualitative change and cannot give much help, while the other is grown-ups. Mukai, take these people back. My lord, do you want it? Kyochi dismissed the idea, and Mukai cared instead. It is worthy of being one of our own. At times like this, there's no need to lose big because of small things. Our goal is not just Uchiha. The reason why Kyochi didn't reach out was to kill Danzo more confidently. Mukai's character is not righteous, so he did have a little heart for Sharingan, but after listening to Kyochi's words, he thought for a moment and then nodded slightly. Sharingan. With Kyochi's strength, even Uchiha-ji was blocked, but a few others disappeared inexplicably. No matter what the argument is, it is difficult to convince the public. If it's normal, it's fine. It's no big deal to be scolded a few times, at least he doesn't care about Mukai, but now it's a critical moment. They want to do something to Danzo, and the reason is persecuting children from the same village, secretly supporting experiments and so on. So, if there is any stain at this time, it is likely to become the last point of attack for others. Kyochi held Itachi, feeling a little regretful. Madara and Black Zetsu are too slippery. At the critical moment, throw Itachi down directly, and if you don't save him, the collapsed rock will immediately crush Itachi to death, so unless Kyochi refuses to save him, otherwise. Really can only drop Black Zetsu to save people first. Certainly. The main thing is to catch up, and it may not be possible to catch up with Black Zetsu. As a creation of yin and yang escape, Black Zetsu's concealment ability is too strong, and general perception methods are not effective at all, and it is difficult for Kyochi to estimate the upper limit of Black Zetsu's ability to manipulate others. What if the pursuit is too deep in white? Due to the combination of many reasons, Kyochi finally had no choice but to give up. As a result, Madara was also very decisive on Uchiha G's side, and directly made that guy a self-destruct truck. By the way, my lord, I used Gentle Fist to seal the acupoints, but a strange chakra appeared on this guy's body. My Gentle Fist didn't have any effect. Mukai felt the need to explain. Kyochi glanced at him, and then said, "Don't worry, I didn't blame you for letting him go. This person is definitely not simple. I wanted to capture him alive, but unfortunately." "Yes, my lord." Mukai was a little ashamed, he really couldn't hide this little thought from Lord Kyochi. Kyochi pondered for a moment, and said, "Take a look with your white eyes and see if there is that special chakra." "Yes." Mukai rolled his eyes, however. He searched for a long time, but did not find any remaining white Zetsu tissue. White Zetsu's body was burnt clean, without any residue. Including Yuki Uchiha's own. Madara is amazing. Kyochi was a little flat, he didn't lose. But didn't win either. Both sides seem to be losers. But, it seems that it is not completely fruitless. At least after this time, Fugaku's reputation in the clan has plummeted. Although it will not lose the position of patriarch, Shisui's discourse power among those fellow clansmen is much higher. In a sense, this is also a gain. Go and ask about the situation on Danzo's side right away. Danzo's side may be alerted if you shoot today. If things change, we must make a quick decision. Kyochi said. Danzo is also an old fox. I have been waiting for this period of time, and until yesterday, I only had a brief contact with Nanayu, and I haven't reached the point of forcing her to return to the root organization, but this old guy has the intention of contacting those children. On Uchiha's side, he will either fish in troubled waters or take advantage of the chaos to shift positions. It's fine if it's the former. If the latter, then things will be troublesome. Yes. Mukai nodded in response, and left here in an instant. Not far away, the Anbu team has already arrived. They can get here in half a minute at most, and with Kyochi's strength, he doesn't need to worry about safety at all. There are only a few people in Genin who can threaten Kyochi's safety. Instead of worrying about Kyochi, it's better to worry about Danzo. If Danzo runs away, it will be bad. Mukai originally had no feelings for Danzo. It doesn't matter if Danzo is good or bad, the victim is not him anyway, but Kyochi wants to deal with him. So, he also wanted Danzo to die. Master Tiger. Well, take these people back and check their memories, what happened over there? Kyochi gave the order methodically. Finally, I asked about Uchiha's situation, and Kazuki immediately replied, I am in a hurry to help you, so I didn't pay much attention to the situation there, but according to the intelligence of the sensory investigation, I should still be fighting. It seems Uchiha Yuki has bewitched a lot of people. Kyochi smiled. This helped me a lot, a group of iron-blooded factions were blown out, and things will be much easier and simpler in the future, and Uchiha Fugaku stumbled this time. In the future, the right to speak within the clan will no longer be the same as before. My lord, where is Yuki Uchiha? Self-immolation, a bunch of detonating charms, and some bone fragments left, you take it back and give it to Uchiha, lest they suspect that we have tampered with it secretly. Yes. Moonlight Kazuki gave orders immediately. He looked at the scene carefully and raised his eyebrows. What happened? My lord, what's wrong with him? It's strange, he seems like Ishin wants to die in the end. The water in Uchiha is deep. Kyochi nods. There are many things he can't say clearly, but the existing evidence is enough to prove that there is a group of people behind the Uchiha incident, but no one will think of it as Uchiha Madara. Moonlight was startled. This is the elder of the Uchiha clan. Even after the reorganization of the guards, he started to contact Uchiha Ji, and it was less than half a month in between. Not to mention how to get in touch. Just talking about the reorganization of the guard. Even many ninjas and civilians in Konoha don't know about the reorganization. How did the organization in the outer village know? Having been an Anbu ninja for many years, Tsukiko Kazuki's mind is very sharp, and he quickly thought of these strange places, so he was a little surprised by the opponent's ability. Kyochi thought for a while and said, remember that Kirigakure had a child who was influenced and manipulated by illusion. Of course I remember. Moonlight frowned after hearing this. Mist Shinobi. Do they have that strength? It's not that I look down on Kirigakure, the assassination force of those people is indeed not weak, but Konoha's Anbu is not a vegetarian either. If it was Kirigakure, it would have been seen with supercilious eyes. The other party has a special ability, which can make people unable to perceive it. At that time, I sensed the sudden disappearance of Itachi's breath before making a move, so it was very difficult to verify. Kyoshi couldn't help sighing when he said this. This matter, there are good and bad. The good news is that Madara's strength and state are obviously extremely poor. That's about the impact he can make. Spells, illusions, and pupil power control. No amount of other things can be done. On the premise that she does not step into the opponent's lair, Madara has nothing to do with herself, so there is no need to worry about her own safety. In addition, Madara suffered a disadvantage this time, so she must be more vigilant. Next time, unless you are absolutely sure, you won't make another easy move. The bad news is, I don't seem to have a perfect way to restrain Black Zetsu for the time being. Even if I meet him face to face next time, I'm afraid it will be difficult to catch him. Sealing technique. I don't know if it works. At this time, Tsukiko Kazuki took the people and cleaned up the scene almost, and Makoto also hurried over at this time. Uchiha Makoto was not a weak ninja before marrying Fugaku. But it's obvious. A happy life has caused her strength to drop a lot. Seeing Itachi, she rushed over immediately, and after careful inspection, she bowed gratefully and said, "Thank you, sir. If it weren't for you, I don't know what to do. He's fine, but I can't make a decision on whether he will be affected mentally. I suggest you wait until the child wakes up, and then observe it. I want to take these Uchiha people back and let the Yamanaka family search the memory. The specific situation will be explained to you in detail when the captain returns." Makoto nodded as Kyoshi spoke. These clansmen almost killed Itachi, so she naturally didn't feel bad at all. She was arrested as soon as she was caught. Could she come back? As for Fugaku, she doesn't care what he thinks. Moreover, does Uchiha have a second option right now? He was killed so much that he needed the help of the village, and almost lost his son. It was such a shame, and I am afraid that some accidents will happen to the guards when they turn around. Makoto sighed inwardly. But then, when she saw Itachi, who was in an unknown condition, she couldn't help but feel a burst of heartache. She doesn't understand many things. As long as the baby is okay, Makoto thinks it's better than anything else. Kyoshi glanced at it and couldn't help being taken aback. Uchiha Makoto. This chakra breath, is it going to become Mangekyo? He observed carefully, and did not see a special pattern of hooked jade in Uchiha Makoto's eyes. It still looked like a three-shaped jade, but according to the breath, the pupil power was estimated to have increased. If Itachi is really dead, I'm afraid Mangekyo is really possible. If I lied to her first. Forget it, let's be a human being, and besides, it may not be a good thing for Uchiha to have an extra pair of Mangekyo. Kyoshi took the others to the Uchiha tribe. It's time for Uchiha's rebellion to stop. If the chaos continues, it will not be good for Konoha or Uchiha. Uchiha clan land. At this moment, the tranquility and peace of the past have long since disappeared, only the sound of killing is left. Fighting is everywhere. Uchiha Fugaku is covered in blood, both from his enemies and from himself. However, no matter which one, it is the blood of the Uchiha clan. His heart was shaking. The Uchiha family, why are they here? Master Fugaku. How's it going? Most of them were suppressed, and some surrendered, but Anbu's ninjas captured them all and said they would take them back for interrogation. 8 generations are a little hard to describe. Uchiha's civil strife is a family matter, and it was not Anbu's turn to intervene, but who made Uchiha incompetent and almost overthrown by the rebellious tribe. These people are just crazy. Although he didn't quite agree with handing over the guards at first, after thinking about it carefully, he felt that Shisui and Fugaku's decisions were fine. Uchiha really can't keep that thing. Senju Tobirama presented it, what could it be? This is thunder. However, those tribesmen seem to be brainwashed, thinking that if they let this step, there is another step, and the next step, and sooner or later they will be completely swallowed by Konoha. This kind of thought. I don't know how to say it, and it makes some sense, but what can I do now? Senior 8 generations, Lord Patriarch, if you want me to say it, it should be what Shisui said. Daohuo, who was following along, couldn't help but interject. If it is like what Shisui said, find an excuse to execute these elders, or simply find a way to arouse the resistance of the elders, and a conflict will break out on the spot to kill and solve everything. Will it still be like this? What's the use of saying this now? 8 generations glared at him, however. The meaning in the words is obviously that Fugaku did not do well in this matter, so that now more and more people in the family oppose it, and now civil strife has directly erupted. It's not just a matter of making jokes to outsiders. Everyone will think, Uchiha can't even protect himself, let alone protect the whole village? A good plan, now naturally collapsed. Fugaku listened aggrievedly. One by one. Don't say a word beforehand, everyone will become a prophet if something happens, right? He didn't know what to say. He waved his hand, signaling Yatsushiro to stop talking, then froze in place, and after a few seconds, he said, Anbu, I'll go ask, you go and settle down with the clansmen. Yes. Yatsushiro and Inahora looked at each other, then bowed their heads and left. Fugaku was a little bit taken aback. The life and death of the son is uncertain. The family is in disarray. Once the good situation was completely ruined, there was only a chaotic mess left, and I still don't know how to clean it up now. He dragged his wounds and came to the land of the Uchiha clan. Kyochi just arrived. As a result, seeing Fugaku's injuries all over his body, at that moment, he wondered if this guy was trying to sell a miserable costume, but looking carefully. It's as if it's all true. This guy. Could it be that at this moment, he is still thinking about keeping a hand, so that the family's strength can be preserved more? Outrageous. He was silent for a moment, then walked over and said in a disguised voice, Master Fugaku, the captain is not here at the moment. I will host Anbu on behalf of the captain. Yes, you. Just call me Tiger. Yes, Lord Tiger, these people. Fugaku looked at those rebel clansmen who were sealed and escorted out, wanting to question and ask, but worried that his attitude would cause Anbu's dissatisfaction. Kyochi looked around, and then said lightly, This matter is very strange, we can talk about it in detail after Master Fugaku recovers from his injuries. Strange? Fugaku was stunned for a moment, then pondered, indeed, they care about Itachi very much, but Itachi is only over 1 year old, so he doesn't see any talent at all. You're very calm, aren't you curious about Itachi's safety? Kyochi has to admire. This guy Fugaku, in some respects, is really introverted and indifferent to the extreme, he doesn't reveal his emotions easily. Fugaku was silent for a few seconds, then sighed. It's useless to worry, the enemy's ability is beyond my imagination, and I don't know where to start chasing now. Don't worry, Itachi, I found it, but the opponent was very cunning and I couldn't catch up. Uchiha-ji set himself on fire afterwards, and the method was very cruel. What is certain is that this time, Uchiha-ji was just an executor at the front desk. Kyochi lowered his voice. Moonlight Kazuki handed over a bag just in time. Inside are the remains of the Uchiha period. Fugaku people are stupid. Such a big person, now turned into a pile of ashes, do you think I will believe it? He looked at Kyochi. Kyochi said helplessly, I can't prove it yet, but his accomplices were caught by me. After asking the Yamanaka family to dig up the memory, you can go to the Yamanaka family to check. Yes, thank you Lord Tiger, how do we deal with these people? Fugaku felt himself hard. Asking now, if I don't ask, I can't sleep. Kyochi looked at him. What are you going to do about it? Good question. Fugaku was lost in thought. Killed? Will the clansmen have any ideas and feel that he is too cruel and ruthless? But if you don't kill them, I'm afraid they will repeat the same mistakes. It was not easy for Anbu to participate in the matter of the Uchiha clan, but this matter is rather weird, so please don't mind the Fugaku patriarch. Fugaku had nothing to say because Kyochi was on point. He does worry about Sharingan. Sharingan is no different than other blood successors, it is a kind of pupil art, which exists in the eyes. Even after death, the eyes can still be transplanted. Certainly. The burden will be greater. Actually Kyochi doesn't like it, but Fugaku's worry is normal. Who in the whole ninja world is not greedy for Sharingan? Even Kyochi. The same is also more greedy, but I don't like the effect of the three-hook jade. If you're worried about Sharingan, you don't have to. If you're really worried, you can send someone to participate in the interrogation. If you want to, you can even join Anbu. Of course, this will only happen when the captain comes back. This, Fugaku's heart was pounding. Join Anbu. It was an idea that Uchiha had dreamed of, but never got through to, and now the opportunity came straight to his door. To be frank, he wanted to say yes right away. However, when it came to his mouth, he was a little worried. Who should I let go? Shisui is too young. He didn't want Kyochi to get too close to Shisui, lest Kyochi brainwash Shisui. If he sent Shisui to Anbu, it would be like sending meat to the other party. Except for Shisui, the age and strength are suitable, and it seems that there are not many left. Uchiha Ricefire. It's okay, Patriarch Fugaku, don't worry. The captain hasn't come back yet. It's useless for you to tell me. It won't be too late to talk about it when he comes back. Now, Tiger is just Tiger, not Kanda Kyochi. He won't officially return until he's done with Danzo. Fugaku doesn't know what's going on, but he also knew that there was no rush for this matter, and that Uchiha's matter was handled by Anbu, and now he allowed them to send people to Anbu to participate in the interrogation. This is already a considerable concession. No matter how much you ask, he will become uninterested. He immediately lowered his head and said, "Let Daohuo go. If you and the captain like him, arrange him to be appointed in Anbu. If he is not capable enough, forget it." "Well, then let him come with you." Kyochi nods. Uchiha Ricefire. This is still a character. In Shisui's evaluation, Inohara is also the closest to him now. Even though Fugaku wins over the people who were close to Shisui before, Inohara still has a lot of contacts with him. Certainly. Not as close as before. After all, with Fugaku watching, too close contact is not good for everyone. Both of them have this self-awareness, so Daohuo is actually a malleable talent. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first. I ask the Patriarch to take stock of the situation on Uchiha's side. If he is too busy, he can ask the guards to support him. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tiger. No, let him come over. Kyochi is waiting here. Not for a while. Inohara was called over by someone sent by Fugaku, and after explaining the situation, Inohara was really stunned for a moment, not expecting that such a thing would be arranged on his own head. He didn't want to agree, but seeing Fugaku's face, he had no choice but to respond, and bowed deeply to Kyochi to express his gratitude. Kyochi didn't say much. Take people away, very simply and decisively. For the time being, some problems about the eyes have been solved. Fugaku heaved a sigh of relief, but when he thought about it carefully, his mood suddenly became extremely complicated. The sun is back. That's a good thing, but now what about those rebels in Uchiha? Mishandled. It is not impossible for the family to fall apart. As for Daohuo, he followed Kyochi anxiously, all the way to Anbu, and was then brought into the fabled interrogation room. Seeing the equipment here, I couldn't help feeling a little scared in my heart. What are you afraid of? It's not you who is being interrogated. I'm not afraid. Just pretend to be in the guard. Don't be afraid. The Yamanaka family has not arrived yet, and the interrogation will take a while. Yes. And Nahiro sat down, maybe because Kyochi's tone was calm, he was not so nervous anymore. I have a bad stomach from the barbecue, people are spraying, and I am in a very bad state, I am very sorry. Master Hu, can I, really be a bystander? Daohuo was a little nervous. In the eyes of the former Uchiha people, Anbu is nothing more than hell. In the books, we can often see the situation of Konoha Anbu against Uchiha. So, to them, Anbu is quite a mysterious and terrifying place. However, now he's in Anbu, and he might be a part of it. No matter how you think about it, it's a bit weird. He was wondering if the other party was fishing, waiting for him to do something bad. Of course, you are invited to supervise Anbu's interrogation work. After all, this is related to the limit of the Sharingan's blood succession. It is normal to think more. Kyochi nodded. We also don't want Konoha's family to misunderstand. Yes. Daohuo nodded, thinking about Anbu's intentions in his heart. If so, then maybe Anbu really didn't target Uchiha. He really just wanted to investigate the truth behind this incident, not for what some of them guessed. 2. Now Uchiha is a mess, there's really nothing to worry about except the eyes. After all, the Uchiha that should be handed over has been handed over. He couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, I chose to cooperate obediently with Konoha. Facts have proved that Uchiha's strength is incomparable with Konoha's side, and it may be extremely difficult to get to the top by rebellion. Only slowly blend in, slowly figure it out. He pondered for a moment, then began to guess what was going on tonight, and at this moment. What do you think of tonight's events? My lord, is this an assessment? Daohuo smiled. He was completely relaxed now, and he had time to joke with the tiger in front of him, but soon he became serious. Because he reacted. The one in front of him is not the captain of his own guard, but the captain of Anbu, with completely different identities and affinities. This rebellion, to be honest, is very strange. One is that Uchiha-ji was definitely not so strong before, even if. I wonder if you know something about the Sharingan, my lord. Inohara looked carefully at Kyochi. Kyochi pondered for a moment, nodded and said, I know a little bit. Uchiha's eyes are also known as the eyes of spiritual reflection, and they can be strengthened with the help of emotions. That's pretty much the same thing. It's a similar meaning. Sharingan will be enhanced when he's emotionally excited, but to be honest, even the enhancement has nothing to do with physical skills. Daohuo expressed his doubts. The strength increase of the Uchiha period is completely beyond the scope of the normal evolution of the Sharingan. He has a chakra from a different body and a special physique transplanted. Oh no? Uchiha Inahara was very surprised and couldn't believe it. Although it is not as good as Bayan, who can see through the meridians inside, but can also see chakra and some chakra running tracks. This is also the foundation of the copy ability. However, in the last meeting, he had a sneak peek, and there was nothing unusual about Uchiha G. He told Kyochi his doubts. Although I don't know the identity of the person in front of me, but if the other party wants to attack Uchiha, there is no need to go around like this, and no one will find out if they secretly close their eyes or study it. Since the other party is open and honest, and Ishin is looking for the truth, there is no need for them as victims or parties to cover up. Otherwise, called Anbu underestimated Uchiha. The two had a conversation. In fact, most of Kyochi know it, but knowing it himself and knowing it from Uchiha are completely two different concepts. So I guess that someone is manipulating this incident. Makes sense. Daohuo nodded heavily. Uchiha's eyes, no one does not peep, the current Uchiha is really in a precarious stage. His heart sank. After thinking for a long time, my heart skipped a beat, and I stood up abruptly. How? Master Tiger, you may not know that before coming here, I counted the number of rebel ninjas in the guard together with Mr. Yatsushiro, but if I remember correctly, there may be some discrepancies in the number. He tried to remember. As the big brother of the guard and the younger generation, he knew the situation of many people, so after recalling it in his mind, he immediately realized that something was wrong. Sit down. It's useless to be anxious. The other party's methods are very weird, you can't even see it with your eyes, and ordinary perception is useless. Kyochi motioned him to take it easy. This point. As early as he expected. The interior of Uchiha is chaotic. If Madara is not only eyeing Itachi, it is too easy to fish for a person. But the person who fished it like that is just an ordinary Uchiha, so there is no need to worry about it. Not everyone is Obito, Itachi. At this time, the people from Yamanaka-hai arrived. Of course, they had been waiting next door before. Until just now, Kyochi hinted with some gestures to let them in from the outside. Captain Tiger. Senior Hai, I'm sorry, please check their memories. I suspect that there may be forces in the outer village behind this matter. At least that Uchiha Ji is very suspicious, but it's a pity. We have heard that self-explosion and self-immolation are extremely terrifying methods. Hai Yi said seriously. Even a renegade ninja has the will to survive, and he will never use such a terrible method unless he is in a dead end, and, if he is so ruthless, at least he must die with Kyochi, right? But Uchiha Yuki no, he is simply self-destructing and not letting others get his body. That guy definitely has a secret, it is a pity. They have no way of getting it, so they can only rely on the memory of his cronies to search for some clues. The Yamanaka clan soon got to work. Inahiro sat on the side, a little nervous, but Yamanaka Haichi's method was very clever. At the beginning, the other party basically had no pain, and did not start to resist until the memory was digging deeper and deeper. Since they were all alive, he didn't have to worry too much, and searched slowly and patiently. Kyochi waited on the sidelines. On the one hand, they are waiting for the Yamanaka family, and on the other hand, they are waiting for news from Mukai. Danzo. That's the point. Yamanaka screened the information carefully. It's been a long time. He came over and said, Master Tiger, I have searched part of a person's memory and got some results. Please say. Currently, this Uchiha-ji's improvement in strength is really weird. His words are quite provocative, but I don't think it's enough to make so many people give up. Based on my memory, I think there may be the possibility of illusion influence. Yamanaka said very methodically. Daohuo was shocked when he heard it. Illusion influence? This kind of thing. Impossible. Although Uchiha Ji is not weak in illusion skills, he is not considered top in the Uchiha clan. Many of the guards are better than him. If it is not for his senior qualifications, it is impossible to become a clan elder. Inauhuo-kun, how is your level of illusion? Hai looked at the rice fire. Inahiro hesitated for a moment, then said, I'm not very good at illusion, but as far as I know, to reach Elder Ji's level requires extremely high illusion skills, Uchiha Ji. Continue to check. Kyochi was not surprised. Uchiha Ji was obviously manipulated by Madara. Let them investigate, just to let everyone understand one thing. There are still such weird and terrifying people behind the ninja world. With vigilance, many enemy attacks can be avoided to a certain extent. He sat for a while longer. Mukai has arrived. Next door. How about it? Master Tiger, I went to check. Danzo did appear in the orphanage tonight, and after leaving, Nanayu came out with a very ugly face. We didn't dare to go closer to find out the specific situation. Very good. Kyochi nodded, motioning for him to keep staring. Danzo's doing it. So, on his side, the next step is to start preparations. The next day, Kyochi quietly came to Tsunade's office, waiting for Tsunade to arrive. After entering the door, Tsunade was stunned for a moment, then closed the door, and said angrily, "Why are you doing so silently, deliberately scaring people? Hey, haven't I come back yet? You already know what happened last night, right? Well, Yuki Uchiha. This matter must be investigated." Tsunade's expression turned serious. What the hell? Just 2 days after he took office, Uchiha came here. If she didn't know the inside story, she would have wondered if these people were dissatisfied with her. Of course, compared to these, Kyochi made the information sent by Katsuyu even more shocking. Konoha's enchantment has been opened. This shows that the opponent can ignore the detection of the enchantment and sneak into Konoha quietly to complete his task. This kind of enemy. It is necessary to find out, at least to understand the origin of the other party. I'm afraid it will be difficult to investigate this matter, but there must be such a group of people secretly spying on the ninja world. I think it is necessary for everyone to pay attention to it. As for the outer village, I am afraid they will not believe it, but Kirigakure will send it quietly. Give Yugura one. Kyochi said. Tsunade thought about it and understood what Kyochi meant. He suspected that Kirigakure's matter was also done by this group of people? But, she said puzzledly, if it was done by the same group of people, their methods in Kirigakure would be too crude, as if they deliberately let us find out. Whether it is or not, it can be. Kyochi smiled. Tsunade is still too blunt. Is this kind of thing that important? Just let Yugura think it is. Tsunade was silent for a second, then nodded and didn't say anything else, picked up the scroll on the table to read it, and as soon as she opened it, she noticed that it was Anbu's information. Watched for a few seconds. She stood up slowly, about to slap the table, but caught by Kyochi's hand. Don't get excited. Damn it. What else does this guy dare not do? The old man is too protective of him to allow such a guy to come up with such a thing. Tsunade was shaking with anger. Although most of them are orphans, they ignore village discipline and use inhuman methods and training methods to develop orphans into root organization members. This is contrary to her 3 views. You continue to read. Kyochi knew she didn't finish watching. The first half writes about Danzo's revival of old members and threatening the orphanage Yakushi Nanoyu, while the second half writes about Orochimaru, Danzo's experiments and the results of the experiments. This. Orochimaru, I knew he had the idea of grandfather cells. I didn't expect Danzo to do it together. No wonder he can get those materials. Tsunade was furious. Although Orochimaru is Sanin and has a high position and weight in Konoha's system, the possibility of him wanting to get in touch with Hashirama cells is basically zero. So, she just suspected that Orochimaru was planning to place Senju cells before, but she never expected that the other party was not planning to place Senju cells at all. But after a bunch of failed experiments, she began to think about the descendants of Senju. Hateful. If it wasn't for Orochimaru, this guy is now. She must kill him. Certainly. The most hated one is Danzo. Do all the bad things. Picking up Orochimaru for an experiment, and finally succeeded in concealing the subject, if it wasn't for Kyochi's recent wood-style research. It may not be possible to identify it. Danzo must not be let go, or God knows what he will do in the dark. This guy has no bottom line. Scarier than someone like Orochimaru. Tsunade had a cold face. She just thought that Danzo might have a different opinion from her, but her nature was also for the sake of the village. However, after reading this report, she realized that she was still young. What for the village? All excuses. It's true for himself. Tsunade took a deep breath, suppressing the anger in his heart. Anger is useless at this time. It will only make her lose her rational judgment. After careful consideration, she went through all the things before and after in her mind. Kyochi was on the sidelines, without urging. He needs Tsunade to make a decision, not such vague and simple words. Because, getting rid of Danzo is not going to be easy. There are not many who support him. Even though the Aburame family and the Yamanaka family have withdrawn from the root organization, there is still a branch house family that is secretly funding. According to Kyochi's Anbu survey, the Shimura family is the most clearly cut off from Danzo. Very magical. Tsunade thought for a while and said, this matter can't be messed up. I'm going to find the old man immediately. You have to take action on your side. Send someone to control the experimental subject immediately. You should be doing it at the orphanage, right? Yes, I have already sent someone to find out the situation. They belong to people that Danzo would not think of. They will not be vigilant. Now they are mainly experimental subjects. Kyochi said. Root's base is not in Konoha, especially the current jaw, which is well concealed, and they worked hard to find their whereabouts. However, once a shot is made, it means a face-to-face confrontation with Danzo, and one hit must be hit. Otherwise, the story of being bitten by a snake without killing it is not uncommon throughout the ages. It's okay. Let's all go out. I agree. I will talk to the old man. If it doesn't make sense, let them stay at home. Now Konoha's Hokage is me, not him. Tsunade said firmly. In some respects, she can make concessions and give the teacher and those old seniors enough respect, but there is no way to make concessions before this kind of bottom line. Danzo must die. She reconciled with the Kyochi front. Okay. Then I'm relieved. It's not that Kyochi deliberately let Tsunade take the blame, but Danzo's level, without Hokage's nod, it is easy to be questioned. The process that should be followed still needs to be followed. Now it's two actions. Kyochi leaves Hokage's office and returns to Anbu's base. Master Tiger, what do you say? Go out. Yes. Everyone was very excited. Root organization, everyone has long wanted to eradicate it. To some extent, this group of people belonged to Anbu's subordinate organization, but they always seemed to be more senior to the outside world and did not cooperate with their work. Instead, when facing them, it is more arrogant and instigated. That's all. The main thing is that they don't do anything about personnel, and there are many things that Anbu's ninjas can't stand. One order. Anbu dispatched all except the interrogation department. Externally. Search for behind-the-scenes information on the civil unrest in Uchiha. Regardless of the current situation, there will be many people who believe it, especially the Branch House clan has some inside information, and it is not a problem to temporarily paralyze the opponent. As for after. By the time Danzo and the others are caught, it won't matter if they hide or not. Anbu left Konoha together. At the same time, a caravan happened to come to No Nayu's orphanage at this time, and negotiated with No Nayu and others about funding, and the price was. After the children in the orphanage grow up, if there is no place to work, please give priority to caravans. Nanayu hesitated for a moment. She really needs money. Konoha's funding may be cut off at any time. Recently, Danzo has been threatening with this, and he also hopes that his child will enter the Root organization, but she was a little worried again. Is it possible that this person in front of you is from Danzo? In case Danzo sent her to test her, and he agreed to it, wouldn't it be a change of direction and send the child to the Root organization? Don't worry, we are serious businessmen. We mainly run the trade route between the Kingdom of Fire and the Kingdom of Thunder. Although it will be difficult, there is no danger to our lives. Please allow me to think about it. If there is anything unspeakable, I know the important people in Konoha because of the caravan. The merchant leader said. Nanayu was taken aback for a moment, and then asked, a big shot? Yes, to tell you the truth, my business is related to this lord. As he spoke, he took out a token, Kanda. 2 words are very eye-catching. Nanayu didn't think about it at first, but soon, a person surnamed Kanda in the village appeared in her mind. Kanda Kyochi. The relative of Konoha D4th Hokage Tsunade seems to be still in charge of Anbu now. The key is that this person is very young, only in his teens now. Young and in charge. She was moved. If Kanda Kyochi can be contacted, the orphanage may be saved. She was overjoyed, but soon, she froze for a moment. In the distance, the bag seems to be beckoning. She hesitated for a moment, looked at the other party and said, Mr. Morita, the child called me for something, can you leave for a while? Of course you can. Please do as you please. I know how difficult it is to take care of an orphanage, so please treat me as a special guest instead of an important person. Morita is really gentle, he is very clear. He is just a caravan leader that Kyochi puts in front of the stage. In fact, he is not a big man at all. If Konoha can give him power, he can also take it away at any time. So, help Konoha, that is the top priority. Certainly. The most important thing is that if he does well, the next generation will be able to enter Konoha as a ninja and become a member of the Konoha Shinobi. This is the dream of many Fire Nation civilians. Nanayu came out from the house. Do whispered a few words in her ear. None, he should be different from the previous one, and I feel that he may have come here to collect information about the previous one. You mean? Nanayu is an excellent espionage ninja, but he hasn't been on a mission for a long time, and his vigilance in this aspect has declined a bit. When he was reminded like this, he immediately thought of many details. Immediately. She understands everything. Really. This Morita Makoto, the most important thing he said after arriving here is the status of a big man. Captain Anbu. As for Danzo, she remembered that she had been removed from the position of Anbu captain long ago, and in a pure sense, it was not an organization, but a small team entrusted to Anbu. However, in Danzo's hands, Root's size far exceeded the limits of what the squad should have been. Is it for this? She pondered for a moment, then looked at Shangdu, secretly shocked in her heart. Pocket, smart. Moreover, he is very keen and can quickly detect the abnormality, and can see that Morita is really here. It's not easy. This guy has spy ninja potential. No wonder Danzo stares at his own orphanage. Some of these orphans are not from Konoha, and in the eyes of the iron-blooded Danzo, they are not Konoha people at all, and they are all indistinguishable from tools. As long as a few of them are useful, he will keep his eyes on this piece of meat. But Konoha's side. She thought about it, gritted her teeth and made a decision. No choice. If she doesn't want these children to become members of the Root organization, she has to take a risk. Apart from trusting the person in front of her, she also has to go to Konoha secretly. She's looking for Master Tsunade. Back inside, she continued talking with Morita. She had a vague understanding of Morita's real intention, so she began to search for information on the sidelines, and the result was exactly what she and Do thought. Morita is really here for Danzo. She thought over and over again, and told the whole story of Danzo's recent visit. Shinichi Morita wrote it down. Originally, according to Nanoyu's idea, she wanted to find a time to go to Konoha to discuss with Tsunade, but Dean Nanoyu, I suggest you go to Konoha today and tell the village about this. Now is not the era of Danzo. His dark methods cannot be maintained in the new era. Morita said seriously. Nanayu froze for a moment. It was different from what she had imagined. Could it be that the village is going to attack Danzo? Thinking of this, her eyes gradually brightened, and she said, the children? I suggest going together, otherwise, if Danzo knows that you have reported to the village, the children are likely to be in danger, and the children are also strong evidence. Yes, you were right. Yi Nayu got up, went out immediately to discuss with Do, and asked Do to call someone over. Enter the village immediately. She felt the urgency of the village. It is clear. Konoha is going to attack Danzo. Don't miss this opportunity. In fact, there are indeed a few ninjas from the Root organization staying here, but those ninjas have already been dealt with by Mukai and the others, and there is no problem of reporting. The reason why Nanoyu and the others were transferred was mainly because they were worried that Danzo would jump over the wall in a hurry, and Kyochi was now going to the base where Yamato was. Yamato's base is outside, and it will take some time to get out from the village. But since the two sides acted separately and at the same time, it was too late for Danzo to receive the news, and when he received the news, it was already lagging behind for a long time. My lord, after Anbu captured Uchiha's people, the entire operation team was dispatched this morning. According to the investigation, it seems that there are other people behind this incident. Well, we've already taken advantage of the chaos to tidy up the organization, now we can just lie in the dark and wait for the opportunity, don't care where they go. Yes. However, what Danzo got was simply false information. It's true to search for the man behind Uchiha, but that matter can't be done in a short time, this time it's just to catch Danzo. Team leader. Well, are they still there? Kyochi looked at Hyuga flat. He's from the Hyuga branch house and just recently joined Anbu. Hyuga looked at it with blank eyes. After a while, he said hastily, it's still there, but it's already started to run. It should be that we leaked our whereabouts when we were rushing here. Look for their exit tunnels and block them all. I will attack from here later, and you people from other places will prevent them from escaping. Yes. A group of people dispersed. Let me release the parasites, you attack and encircle them from the front, and I will block their back. The root of Anbu is inside a mountain, and many traps have been hollowed out inside. Generally, ninjas basically die here. However, Anbu is no ordinary ninja. The Aburame family quickly released the parasites and began to destroy some organs here. They attacked from the front to put pressure, and Kyochi. My lord, where do they come from with so many people? Doesn't the root team only have 17 people? Danzo doesn't care about these rules. He has turned his roots into an underground kingdom beyond Anbu, so we must take him back. Kyochi sneered. Kill? No, he still wants to kill him. Just killing people, how can we convince the public? Even if Danzo is dead, the older generation may feel sorry for him, thinking that he has done too much. So, he wants to count Danzo's crimes, make those old guys speechless, and kill him openly. Walk. Kyochi asks Hyuga Ping to show the way. Hyuga led the way ahead, feeling a little guilty in his heart. My lord, are you alone? One is enough. How many people are needed to deal with one Danzo? As for the others, it doesn't matter. If they want to run away, just let them go. Certainly. Kyochi is well aware that no one in the root organization dares to run. They were all branded with the Bane eradication mark, and faced with various threats and difficulties, they had to work for Danzo. But No matter how many trash fish there are, they are still trash fish. Even if they wanted to wear themselves out like Rock Shinobi did with third Raikage, that would be pretty much impossible since he has Samahata and chakra absorption. He has been improving the chakra absorption technique recently. Although there is no way to upgrade it to ninjutsu, the efficiency has improved a lot compared to before, not to mention the roots of dozens of people at most, even if Rock Shinobi came. He is not afraid either. Hyugaping didn't have the courage anymore. He hesitated to speak, and tried to dissuade him several times, but Kyochi was very confident, so he couldn't say anything. After all, Kanda Kyochi's strength, he has indeed heard of it, it's just. Is it really that strong? He was suspicious. When the time comes, you hide and don't have to come out to rescue, I can do it alone. This is an order. Kyochi saw that he was timid. But this is normal. Not everyone has comprehensive abilities like him. Hyuga is an excellent ninja in the Hyuga branch house, but the entire Hyuga family can be called cage level. Their floor is high, but there is no way to become a Tensigan, and the ceiling of Rolai and Gentle Fist is very low. The weirdest of all, the Hyuga family thinks they are excellent. Ninjutsu. Not learn. How can there be Gentle Fist fragrance? But as a result, after so many years, what the Hyuga clan was like before, the current Hyuga clan is still what it is, without any progress at all. But these are the family affairs of the Hyuga clan, and Hyuga Hiyashi himself is not in a hurry, let alone him. Hyugaping followed Danzo's trajectory all the way. When he got to the front, his eyes lit up. My lord, there is a pit ahead, which seems to be very close to their passage. Which side? The valley ahead. After Hyugaping finished speaking, he heard a whoosh, and Kyochi had disappeared from his side, and when he looked closely, he was far away in front of him. What a quick body flicker technique. You can hardly see the trajectory with your eyes, this speed. I'm afraid even Flying Thunder God is like this? With his limited imagination, he couldn't think of a faster way to describe it. Not just him. Neither did Danzo. Master Danzo, they have already attacked from there, and the part of us left behind may be. For the root, sacrifice is necessary, Danzo said coldly. He is very angry. Unexpectedly, Kyochi would take such a decisive move, directly leading all of Anbu's action teams to besiege Gen, and the inner and outer layers almost surrounded their Gen base. Fortunately, he still has a secret way. Damn Kanda Kyochi. Tsunade and this guy have a nest of snakes and rats. Even if he is killed, it will probably be nothing in the end. He knows Sarutobi Hiruzen too well. This guy is very inclusive. In the past, he thought that this was an advantage that could be used, but now he saw that it could also be an advantage for others. However, since Tsunade returned to the village, Kyochi became the captain of Anbu, and all his plans have failed. What Danzo didn't expect was, the other party was so desperate. But in the next second, he knew that there were many things he didn't expect, such as Kyochi chased after him alone. Boom! With a loud bang, the passage ahead was directly collapsed, and the chaotic airflow raged in the passage. Those in the root team who were good at Earth-style quickly used Earth-style ninjutsu to support the passage. However, the next moment, all the earthen walls around them turned into soft mud, and at the same time, a roar came from the front. Get out of the way! Danzo shouted loudly, and then made mudras with both hands. Wind-style vacuum wave. He spit out a sharp wind wave from his mouth, directly cut through the collapsed soil above, and then jumped out from the passage. Once outside, he saw a tiger ninja standing in front of him. Danzo couldn't help laughing. Kyochi Kanda, I really didn't expect you to attack me, but what gave you the courage to block my root team alone? Aren't you afraid of repeating the mistakes of third Raikage? Oh? Kyochi took off the mask, looked up at Danzo, and smiled as well. He laughs at Danzo being overwhelmed. Third Raikage's opponents are Iwagakure Elite and Onogi, and me, Minato. What are you? Also worthy of mentioning third Raikage. HMPH, the power of the tongue. Danzo sneered, but secretly ordered everyone to approach quietly. He was not stupid enough to fight Kyochi one-on-one. That's stupid. The real strong must learn to use resources rationally, such as crowd tactics. The ninjas of the root organization quickly killed them. I don't want to kill my own people, but if you want to die, I don't mind. Kyochi closes his eyes. Next moment, when the knife comes out, the wind rises. The wind blade of Ultimate was so strong that there was no trace, and when he drew the knife out of its sheath, several figures fell down. Danzo is just ninjutsu ready. Spit out the vacuum sphere towards Kyochi. However, Kyochi's body quickly turned black, and then another layer of ice armor covered it. Vacuum sphere. At most, the defense of the ice armor can be broken, and the defense effect of the earth spear cannot be penetrated at all. What's more, Kyoshi has an additional layer of wind-style chakra on the earth spear. So, Danzo was a little happy to see his ninjutsu hit, but the next second, his face became stiff. Not breaking the defense. What a joke. Wind style is the ninjutsu with the strongest cutting ability, and vacuum sphere has been compressed and further improved by him. It has a very strong penetrating ability, and ordinary ninjutsu cannot stop it at all. Even with ice armor. Not even a little injury. He vaguely sensed something was wrong, but Danzo doesn't believe in evil, and there's no other way out right now. Only fight. He took out a shuriken, wind-style shuriken. Since the vacuum sphere doesn't work, add sharper ninjutsu, or Danzo throws the shuriken and quickly seals it. Summoning. However, the moment he completed the summoning technique, Danzo's hairs all over his body stood on his head, feeling like an infinite crisis was coming. He backed away immediately. At the same time, a nightmare appeared behind him. After screaming, it pointed its nose at Kyoshi. Originally, Danzo's tactic was to use wind-style shuriken in conjunction with the nightmare technique to achieve an unexpected effect and severely injure Kyoshi, but the result was his shuriken went straight through Kyoshi's body. Clone technique? I didn't feel it at all. Danzo's heart sank, but soon, he thought of Uchiha Shisui's body flicker technique. The modified body flicker technique can be used to tell the blink of an eye and cooperate with the clone technique to achieve the effect of confusing and assassinating, so he immediately raised his vigilance. Draw the knife and move backwards. When the sound of metal clashing so fast, Danzo took a deep breath, and the cell activity in his whole body began to mobilize. Respiratory activity. Kyoshi has popularized many people, so he naturally learned one hand, but use breath activation to deal with me. Oh, who made you so generous? Danzo sneered. Popularize ninjutsu? Innocent. This kind of hole-like technique is a taboo that everyone treasures, and only a fool would choose to popularize it. However, Kyoshi's voice came from another place. No, I'm just laughing at your naivety. Since I spread it, it means that I have stronger means. You haven't even considered this, and you still think that you can fight against me with the breathing activation technique. Next second, the double knives were unsheathed. One knife cuts out an extremely sharp high-pressure water blade, while the other knife leaves a mark in the wind, and there is also a flying ice blade in the air. 3 swords come out. Although the nightmare is very powerful in conjunction with wind style, it is not small, and it is cumbersome to turn around. It is simply a fool when it cannot point its nose at Kyoshi. As soon as the 3 knives came out, there was a mournful cry instantly. The nightmare is dead. Danzo wasn't sad at all, just helpless. Summoning beasts are just tools. But even with the summoning beast, he still couldn't do anything to win the opponent. He could only watch helplessly as the opponent killed the nightmare, and the crisis was not resolved now. The nightmare was dead, so he was the next one. As for the rest of the route, at such a frightening speed, there was no way anyone could catch up to Kyoshi, let alone help, and there was nothing they could do but wave the flag. Danzo draws his knife and spits out vacuum sword. He knew that facing such an enemy, he had no way out. Can only use the sword to forge the future. When blades collided. Danzo's swordsmanship is indeed not weak. Although his grade is not young, his strength has not declined too much, but has improved slightly. This has nothing to do with his shady activities all the year round. However, powerful, that is only relative. For the average jonin, Danzo's wind-style ninjutsu, swordsmanship, and body art are all powerful, and the ability of the nightmare makes his jutsu even more weird. But none of this worked against Kyoshi. That is to use breathing activation technique. This thing was created by Kyoshi, can he not know the way inside? Danzo's speed is doubled. While swinging the sword, he can occasionally release the vacuum sphere. The mixture of ninjutsu and swordsmanship is really powerful and adds a bit of variety. However, it didn't take long for him to sense something was wrong. This smell. Poison? His face changed suddenly, and he quickly closed his breath, but the next second, he felt weak for a while. Hee, as I said, since I spread the word, there are ways to restrain it. It's ridiculous that you don't even understand this point, and you still want to use my technique to kill me. It's really pitiful. Kyoshi stopped and looked at him quietly. Danzo's eyes widened. He couldn't believe it. Why you? You must be wondering why I didn't get the trick, right? I'll tell you, it's actually because. Danzo's face was gloomy, but he waited for Kyoshi to speak without any haste. He wants to stall for time, but, whoosh. The wind howled, and Kyoshi was already beside him. Danzo immediately fought back. Although he was poisoned, he still had some strength. Chakra's production was not disturbed, and he still had the ability to fight back. Only, the more you exercise, the more obvious this weakness will be. And Kyochi here, he took out the beheading knife. Heavy knife swept. With a collision, Danzo's knife was directly sent flying. Danzo dodges immediately. But, under the poison, his movements became more and more difficult, and he didn't dare to use the breathing technique anymore. At this moment, he was restrained left and right, and he didn't care too much when he saw himself in danger. Respiratory activity, however, Kyochi isn't slow either. He boosted with breath, and Kyochi's speed surged, knocking him to the ground. Danzo is confused. Why? If breathing technique is used, even if Kyochi takes the antidote in advance, it will still have some effect, right? But now, he doesn't understand. But in fact, the reason is very simple, because Kyochi didn't use breath at all, he just used 8 inner gates opening and lightning style to stimulate chakra. At this time, around Danzo, logs grew out one by one, surrounding him. Wood style. A shot. Kyochi wasn't surprised. Danzo brainwashed deeply, making think that Orochimaru's experiment harmed him, and Danzo was the one who saved him. This leads him to be very loyal to Danzo, however. This level of wood style. Boom. A finger. Under the strange power technique, the wooden ingot wall was destroyed. Next moment, Kyochi clapped his hands to the ground, and the surrounding trees and vines grew rapidly, turning into a lush jungle in an instant, and at the same time. The 5 or 6-year-old child was driven out of the soil by plants and fled frantically in the forest. But, after a while, the vines bound him. At the same time, Danzo and the rest of Root Squad are also trapped by the vines. How is it possible? How can your wood style have such a level? Danzo couldn't believe it. Although this wood style ninjutsu is not as good as Senju Hashirama, it is much more perfect than Yamato's wood-only jutsu, and looks closer to Senju Hashirama's jutsu. Could it be? HMPH, I see. You are talking high-soundingly, so it is no different from me. You also have ideas about Hashirama cells, right? Danzo was poisoned and tied up, but at this time he was still stubborn. He also finds Kyochi ridiculous, thinking that everyone is in the same darkness and no one is more noble than the other. However, Kyochi just smiled and said, "Don't judge me with your narrow mind. To be honest, wood style is not worth my transplanting such a dangerous thing. To put it nicely, if I didn't let Orochimaru continue to study wood style, how could you have your current results? All success requires sacrifice. Then why wasn't you the one who sacrificed?" Kyochi walked towards him step by step. His wood style is not as good as first generation. At present, it cannot achieve the scale of birth of the tree world, and it is also impossible for every plant to absorb chakra by itself. But manipulating the vines to trap the enemy is not a problem. In addition, after trapping them, sheets of paper fly out. I advise you not to move. These are all detonating symbols, they can kill you at any time. Kyochi said flatly. Then, he walked up to Danzo and forced Danzo to kneel with a vine. Beating you is easier than I imagined. Your strength and talent are not weak. Unfortunately, you don't have to be on the right path and think about conspiracy and tricks all day long. Kyochi is condescending. This kind of perspective and posture made Danzo very angry, but there was nothing he could do. Are you angry? Isn't this how you usually look at others? Let's continue with the question just now. Everything requires sacrifice, so why can't it be you? Are you more important than others? Of course, without me, Konoha. Sorry, Konoha would be better off without you, but you have no chance to see it. With Danzo, there isn't much to say. This man admits death. What is established will not be changed easily. With a flick of Kyochi's finger, a pile of papers flew out and surrounded him. Next moment. Sealing technique. A series of magic formulas emerged from his fingertips, covering Danzo's whole body. Danzo didn't understand how Kyochi did it until he was sealed. In fact, it's not that he didn't understand, but he just couldn't believe it. Kyochi is still faster than him without breathing skills. Having dealt with Danzo, Kyochi looked to the others. Those root teams are worthy of the name of root. Even if they are trapped by detonating symbols, they are still struggling. Kyochi is also welcome. If you struggle, I will send you back to the west. There was a bang. The one struggling the most was directly swallowed by the explosion. I told you not to move. Little guy, do you think Danzo is your benefactor? If so, then you were wrong. Yes, Orochimaru is the one who presided over the experiment, but have you ever thought about it? Kyochi crouched down. The only one struggling now was Yamato. He looked at Yamato. Although Orochimaru is Sannin, it is difficult to get access to various forbidden techniques and materials, because only Hokage and Captain Anbu are eligible to come across these. How did he get the wood-style profile? Also, why does Danzo know your whereabouts? You know, even Lord 3rd Hokage doesn't know that Orochimaru is doing this kind of experiment. Kyoshi smiled after speaking, and made a mudra with both hands. The 5-element seal interfered with Yamato's chakra. In this way, it is difficult for him to use ninjutsu such as wood style and earth style, and it is even more impossible for him to break free from it, and more can only see if he can figure it out. Yamato was angry at first, feeling that Kyoshi had hurt Danzo and his benefactor. But, with a word from Kyoshi, he was a little shaken. However, the long-term training made him not to continue to question, but to think that Kyoshi was lying. But, after Kyoshi sealed his chakra, he released him again and took out a scroll. He froze for a moment. It is easy for the other party to kill him, but now. He hesitated for a moment, then took the scroll. This is an intelligence. Orochimaru's confession about the experiment, as well as the statement of the whole story. In addition, there are various materials on it to support the content of this confession. Danzo secretly retrieved the data of wood style and Hashirama's cells. Yamato opened his mouth wide, unable to accept it for a moment. He and 59 other children were killed by the Wood Style Institute, before Danzo kept telling him that Orochimaru killed him, and Danzo was the benefactor who rescued him from the laboratory. But actually, from these data, it is Orochimaru supported by Danzo at all, and Danzo is behind everything. He couldn't recover for a long time. The world of adults is scary, especially for such dirty people, so what you see may not be true. Kyoshi patted his head. Yamato looked dazed and forgot to resist at all, while now Danzo was triple blocked by sealing technique, origami technique and wood style, unable to speak at all. As for the other Root Squad members, part of it is still at the base. The ones on this side are all trapped by the detonating talisman, and anyone who moves a few times will be blown to pieces like before. You? Yamato's words were not smooth. Because usually, he rarely communicates with people, the only one who can talk to him is Danzo. Don't worry. I don't need you to prove Danzo's crimes for me. How can a child like you know so much? Your existence is proof. After Kyoshi finished speaking, he got up and walked towards Danzo. Hyuga came out from the dark in a daze, looked at the jungle, and was shocked. Wood style. And, it's not the wood style that can only be used for farming like Fengji Toshiki, but the wood style ninjutsu that can be used for fighting. This, Kanda Kyoshi, how many cards are there? After a long time, he realized that this is not the time to think about these things. Now that Kyoshi has controlled other people, he needs his help. He came down and hit Yamato's acupuncture points first, blocking his chakra. Then, he released the flare. Kyoshi didn't stop them, they really need support now. Otherwise, with so many people, the two of them couldn't bring them back. Not long. The supporting Anbu team arrives. They actually rushed this way before, but even if they supported in advance, when they arrived, what they saw was a forest of vines and the root team trapped by detonating symbols. On the ground, there was something cocooned in vines. This is Danzo? They look strange. Kyoshi-sama also. It's too clean and tidy, there is no need for their support at all, they are only for carrying, and this level of wood style is much better than Fengji Toshiki's. Take it back. If you can't kill it, don't kill it, but if anyone is restless, get rid of it. Yes. Everyone nodded and started to act. Kyoshi cleared the passage with earth style. I will send a shadow clone to take them back with you. I will go to their base to see if there is anything important. Yes. Konoha. In Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Udatane Kaharu and Mitokado Homura are all together again. The difference is that this time it is not Sarutobi Hiruzen who is in Hokage's place, but Tsunade. Tsunade, you mean, Anbu wants to kill the root? Yes, if they are willing to surrender, then Konoha welcomes them of course, but if they still want to resist, then I don't think there is any need to keep them. Tsunade said indifferently. The existence of root is simply a trample and insult to IQ and 3 views, and what Danzo did does not allow her to let this guy live. This person must die. Currently Kyoshi and Minato are not here, will it be possible to do something to Danzo? Third generation paused halfway through, he thought of something. During the civil strife in Uchiha, Anbu was in place very quickly. Almost when the civil strife broke out in Uchiha, Anbu had already completed the assembly and quickly arrived in place for support. This speed is absolutely prepared in advance. He was silent for a moment. It seems. There are things here that I don't know. Not surprisingly. He is no longer Hokage, and Hokage has not been involved in the affairs of Hokage, so many things are not clear, but according to this situation, it is very likely that Kyochi has returned to Konoha. Even. This matter was not Tsunade's idea. Where would she notice the roots? It was Kyochi's idea. Only Kyochi, who is in charge of Anbu, would mind the existence of the root team so much, but. Next moment. Tsunade flicked a scroll over. I know that the three of you will not simply agree, so the reasons have been written in advance. You can read it. If you still object after reading it, then I'm sorry, the current Hokage is me. Tsunade has his left hand on his hip, and his right hand rests on the table. Mitokado Homura and Udatane Kaharu were silent and did not speak. Tsunade has made it very clear that this matter is just to inform them, not to consult their opinions. To be frank. Who has no temper? They really don't want to. Danzo dared to do that. Udatane Kaharu was a little annoyed. Although they all targeted orphans, those orphans were all citizens of the Fire Nation. And also support this kind of experiment. This Orochimaru guy. Mitokado Homura was about to speak when he noticed Tsunade's cold gaze. Tsunade said, Senior Mito, Orochimaru did something wrong, so he has lost all his powers now. Even in the research institute, you are watching. As a hero of the two wars, the current situation is not much different from being imprisoned, right? This, Mitokado Homura was momentarily at a loss for words. Really? Orochimaru was very self-aware, basically staying in the research institute during this time, and his research room had the most surveillance, but he didn't have any objections. If you were beaten, you must stand at attention. Orochimaru doesn't care what other people think, but he knows he's not doing anything good, of course, the idea of redemption. Not really. So Tsunade feels that Orochimaru does not deserve sympathy. However, this does not mean that Mitokado Homura can double-mark Orochimaru, only discussing Orochimaru's crimes, and diverting the firepower from Danzo. Mitokado Homura was silent, having nothing to say. Tsunade, you already have an idea, let's do it. Danzo has done a lot of things over the years, some of which are beneficial to Konoha, but there are indeed many problems. Third generation side, I also have a lot of responsibility here. Of course. Tsunade nodded, not consolingly. If it weren't for third generation's connivance, how could Danzo dare to do this? Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyebrows twitched. This guy, never mind. It's understandable for Tsunade to be in a bad mood seeing these things, after all, it's the mess he left behind. After spraying, Tsunade felt better. She said, the three of you are called, mainly to hope that everyone can be consistent on the matter of Danzo, and don't cause trouble for me in Kyochi. He deserves death. Tsunade said, repeating it again. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Mitokado Homura nodded silently. Danzo got caught so much wrong, it was hard for them to speak for that guy anymore, and times have changed. Now it is Tsunade who governs the village, so follow Tsunade's advice. About Danzo. There was nothing wrong with her decision, it was just a little ruthless in their eyes. However, it's not her who has anything to do with Danzo. Udatane Kaharu was silent until now, and finally spoke. Since you have made a decision, of course we will not object. Danzo. Dot has done these things and even wanted to attack the orphanage. The three of us are also very angry, but I want to ask the remaining questions. Don't worry. Danzo's bondage to the root team is mainly due to the seal of Tongue Bane. I asked Kushina, and this seal will be automatically released as long as the caster dies. Tsunade feels. Among the three, Udatane Kaharu is actually the most reliable. Don't worry about Danzo, but think about the follow-up processing. What about their mental state? Udatane Kaharu has seen Tsunade's psychological theory and thinks that it makes sense, and the training of the root team will obviously lead to such a psychological illness. These people, can I still be a normal ninja? Those who can live a normal life and are willing to live a normal life, go back to be ordinary ninjas, and those who don't want to stay in Anbu. Anyway, they exist to train Anbu ninjas, don't they? Tsunade couldn't help but look at third generation when he said this. Danzo, that guy. In the name of Anbu Training Department, the Root Squad was established, occupying 17 places in Anbu but creating a root organization with dozens of people. However, the third generation also acquiesced in his existence. Such behavior, Tsunade doesn't know how to complain, so I don't have a good attitude towards this teacher today. When Kyochi brought Danzo back to Anbu, he heard about Tsunade's one-shot deed from Anbu Ninja, and immediately admired Tsunade a bit. As expected of Tsunadeheim, to be frank, is also your Tsunade's way of ninja? Kyochi could imagine. In the office today, the helplessness on third generation's face. Sarutobi Hiruzen was indeed helpless. He has warned Danzo several times to stop making trouble after he stepped down. He knows Kyochi too well, But obviously, as an old friend, he doesn't know Danzo well enough. How could that guy let go so easily? Now, Danzo was placed in Anbu's prison by the Yamanaka clan, digging out memories from his head, and the kind that won't damage his brain. Yamanaka Hayi is just playing tricks. Then I was shocked. This old thing, there is nothing he dare not do. Trying the Hashirama cell experiment, third generation gave up, and he secretly picked up Orochimaru to continue the experiment, and also provided experimental candidates and various financial assistance. No wonder Orochimaru has access to Hashirama cells. The second is Root Squad training methods. Let these orphans kill each other. The cruelty of this training mode is comparable to that of the experiment, and his method of forcing some orphans to join the Root team is also amazing. After reading part of the memory, Yamanaka's fist hardened. Being from a family, he naturally doesn't have much empathy with orphans and civilians, but that doesn't mean he can be like Danzo and not take these people's lives seriously. What's the difference between this and a beast? He was annoyed when he saw it, and sighed after a long time and said, "Hey, the ninjas of our Yamanaka family can enter the Root organization as long as they obey orders, and they don't need to receive this kind of training. I never knew that Danzo has such a training base. Your people were transferred from Anbu, of course Danzo wouldn't dare to do that." Kyoshi nods. In this regard, Danzo is still very clear. The targets of his ruthless attacks have always been civilians and children from orphans. Like Aburame, Yamanaka, the ninjas of these families are all favorites in the Root team. In addition to killing civilians and orphans, Danzo's memory also contains some analysis and thoughts on various family occult arts, including the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. Without Kyoshi as a comparison, people may just think he is unscrupulous. But how does Kyoshi do it? Announcement. The Research Institute and Anbu, which involve family secrets, will let all major families participate in the supervision, and try to be as fair and transparent as possible. Comparing the two, it's clear what Danzo is. The Yamanaka clan is also responsible for the fact that the Roots can become what they are today. I hope that I can sincerely apologize to the victims. Although it does not help the deceased, at least it has the ability to make life better for the orphans after the war. Yamanaka said seriously. Senior, it depends on your own will, Anbu will not force it. Isn't your caravan just in contact with the orphanage? I mean we pay for it, and you ask Morita to help with the operation. Yamanaka said. Yamanaka, Nara, and Akamichi actually have their own industries, so they are not short of money, and they also have their own advantages in ninja. It can be said. In Konoha, apart from Uchiha and Hyuga, the Ino Shikacho family circle that they are close to is the strongest. Yamanaka's words can also represent the meaning of the three clans to a certain extent. Kyoshi pondered for a moment, nodded slightly and said, I'll let Anbu supervise Morita Makoto. Thank you very much. Yamanaka bowed deeply. Kyoshi shook his head slightly. This is a good thing for the people, especially in the world of ninjas. Money is not that important. Morita is really not greedy to let children have the opportunity to become ninjas. Greedy. What else but money? So, as long as he is not so stupid, Morita really will not be greedy for this little money under the premise of getting the position of caravan leader. In fact, he himself is a very rich businessman. What are you going to do with him? Kill. Moreover, I want all the villagers in the village to witness his crime. Kyoshi said flatly. He's not going to throw dirty water on Danzo. For now, Danzo has done enough to kill him several times. Yamanaka hesitated to speak. Kyoshi knew what he was trying to say, that it was an unseemly way to die, but this is what he wants. Danzo doesn't deserve decency. The darkness of Konoha, the guardian of the underground? He is going to peel off this layer of coat, so that everyone can see what is hidden under the darkness, whether it is protecting Konoha or his own ambition. After dealing with this matter, Kyoshi asked Anbu Ninja to bring a piece of information to Minato in Rain Shinobi village. Namikaze Minato is really miserable. From the end of the war to the present, I have basically had no rest, either on missions or as bodyguards, and now I even work as a substitute teacher for Kyoshi. And he also had to worry about the situation in the village. Catch Danzo. This is a big deal. I don't know what kind of disturbance it will cause. Minato sighed softly. Teacher, you seem to be sighing more often recently. Yes. You all clearly know that he is not Mr. Kyoshi. Kakashi thought to himself. These two are so bad. Just bully the teacher with a good temper, but without Mr. Kyoshi, everyone seems to be a little lazy, including him. Minato didn't bother to talk to them. The current village may be in chaos, and they don't know when they will be able to go back. Hey. I shouldn't have accepted this task in the first place. If you don't accept the task, you won't be used by Kanda Kyoshi layer by layer, and you won't have no time to get along with Kushina. Kushina must be very angry. No. What are you thinking? Minato came back to his senses and was immediately full of energy. He looked at Shisui and the others. Aren't you free? Go run 100 laps and stimulate the genin of Rain Shinobi Village. What? Yes. After a brief exchange, the three went out for a run. Minato was in a much happier mood. Is this what the squeezer feels like? Love, love, love. As he was pondering, a figure rushed over quickly. Anbu Ninja? My lord, this is information from Ninja Hawk. Thank you very much. When Minato heard it, he immediately understood that Kyochi was done. He opened it to have a look. Just the beginning of the article surprised him a little. The Uchiha clan is in civil turmoil. Not only that. Behind the civil strife in Uchiha, there is actually a force from outside the village secretly promoting. Even Kyochi can't perceive the other party's shape and identity, but only knows that Earth style is very powerful. The transplanted physique that can exempt acupuncture points. Terrible enemy. Minato read on. After that, there was not so much information about elevated blood pressure. But Kyochi really caught Danzo and sent him to Anbu prison for interrogation? Incredible. It seems that in a few days, they can be taken back. Ninja Hawk's speed is not slow. Kyochi reckoned that at most tonight, Minato could receive a message from the Anbu ninja near Rain Shinobi Village. He should also be relieved, right? This period of time has really exhausted Minato, and when he comes back, give him some time off. No sooner said than done. I hope I can. Kyochi added from the bottom of his heart. No way. Who made Konoha? Only Minato can use Flying Thunder God at the moment, and many things cannot be separated from him. But I am not a devil myself, so try not to send him tasks. Most. Let him bring a group of ninjas with a bit of talent in time and space ninjutsu. For example, those 3 Shiranui Genma, plus Obito. Obito must have a talent for space ninjutsu. Although the ability of eyes is related to the desire of the soul, he cannot awaken it without this talent. Such as Shisui. He has the desire to change the family, but he is also extremely skilled in illusion, so he awakened the distinguished heavenly gods. Obito definitely has a talent for this. The only problem is, this guy's brain is too simple. Can his brain be able to bear this kind of complex ninjutsu that requires a very high knowledge base? This is a question mark. Kyochi thought about it for a moment, and felt that this kind of thing seemed nothing to worry about. Anyway, the 3 of Shiranui Schwanma are definitely possible. Flying Thunder Array technique. But, according to Kyochi's estimation, the Flying Thunder Array is not the same thing as the Flying Thunder God in a certain sense. It's closer to enchantment ninjutsu. Kyochi sorted out Minato's follow-up work plan and turned his attention back to Danzo. A lot of memories in Danzo's brain were dug out. In What Annoys Third Generation are some secret deals he has with Waikun. He didn't even know about this, and the memory dug out is just an insignificant part of Danzo's mind. How much is this guy hiding from himself? After reading the statement, Third Generation didn't bother to care about Danzo anymore. It's not wrong to die. He had nothing to say about the public execution, and, after thinking about it after returning home, he sent someone to Kyochi that night to let him ignore his opinion. And he will also go on stage that day and state his mistakes. Originally, Third Generation thought that he was carrying Konoha, which was considered to be a good management, but after seeing Danzo's messy things, he felt that he did not do well. A tumor was raised. If it weren't for Kyochi's decisive action, I don't know how far this cancer will grow. The root of the leaf. Ah. When the roots are rotting, who can see? It's him. Third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen. But he didn't do anything, and he didn't even know that Danzo was doing all these little tricks in the dark. He sighed. I'm guilty. Don't think too much. Go to sleep. That kid Asuma is still having a temper tantrum at home recently. Leave him alone. This kid is just sulking at himself at home because Kyochi didn't take him on a mission. Third Generation shook his head. This kid is still too immature. Kyochi's mission is to take out the more dangerous Shisui, and Kakashi is to cure the disease, by the way. As for the Sunset Red, this involves team matching. The 3 are all rushing ninjas, obviously not in line with Kyochi's team thinking, so it is normal for Asuma to not be able to perform missions. I can't even figure this out, so I don't deserve to be this chunin. The next day, on the bulletin board of Konoha's Hokage building, a strange and shocking notice appeared. Konoha Jonin Shimura Danzo, who did not follow the rules and set up his own organization, secretly violated many of Konoha's regulations, supported illegal experiments, and killed the people of the Country of Fire. He committed multiple crimes at the same time, and his crimes are unforgivable. The public trial will be held in front of the Hokage building at noon today. Public trial. Everyone froze for a moment, and then there was a burst of excitement. Danzo. This is the leader of Gen, a big man before Konoha. Many people actually complained about him, but they dared not say it. Nowadays, with the 4th generation in charge, will Danzo be put on public trial soon? Things are getting bigger. Isn't this putting that man on fire? Yuhi Zhenhong was a little puzzled. He hurried to the Hokage building, trying to discuss with Tsunade and Kyochi, only to realize that Kyochi was on a mission, and Tsunade was too busy to be in the office. There is no way that the sunset is really red. He stood there watching, dazed in a daze, and didn't move for a long time. He didn't react until it was almost noon, and at this time, he noticed more and more people. A group of Anbu ninjas began to maintain order around them. It seems. I can only wait for the follow-up. He sighed and stood here waiting. Not long. Tsunade and 3rd Hokage appeared on the Hokage building at the same time, and on the bottom floor, a tiger mask ninja came out with Danzo, who was sealed by various sealing techniques. At this moment Danzo has regained his sanity. Although the whole body is bound by the sealing technique and cannot move, the head and eyes can be moved, and he cannot speak now, but he will be given a chance to speak later. Along the way, he stared at the villagers on both sides. When the villagers saw it, they ran away in fear. Kyochi didn't stop either. This is the last journey, and people are not allowed to show off their prestige. Not suitable. As for bewitching the villagers, let him go. All defenses will be futile until the evidence of the crime is publicized. The only problem is Orochimaru. Danzo will definitely bite when he is in a hurry, and Orochimaru will inevitably be involved, but Orochimaru himself doesn't care. What else does Kyochi care about? Orochimaru's life now is similar to being imprisoned. But he enjoys it because he himself imprisons himself. In the research institute, as long as it is within the rules, it can be researched arbitrarily, and the village even returns resources, and things that are not within the rules. You can study the closer ones first. This is Kyochi's routine. Orochimaru learned well. For example, what he is currently researching is wood style, but at the same time, he also submitted the research on sage mode. Senju Hashirama was not only powerful in wood style, but also sage body. Many people want to master that kind of sage mode, including Orochimaru. And Orochimaru himself is the contractor of Ryuchi Cave, one of the sacred places, and he is well aware that the snake in Ryuchi Cave has lived for a long time. Maybe sage mode is a path to immortality. This is researchable within the rules. As long as human experiments are not involved, the materials and help provided by the village make Orochimaru fully feel the convenience. In terms of research, in addition to prohibiting human experiments, Kyochi opened up artificial ninja animal experiment materials. The artificially bred one. The effect is definitely very different from ninja, but it is better than nothing. Overall, Orochimaru is quite satisfied with the research institute. As long as he doesn't interfere with his research and has something to study, it won't be a problem to stay there for the rest of his life. So, he is not afraid of just biting. Because he didn't care about the opinions of the villagers, Orochimaru supported Danzo's execution publicly. Some regrettable things happened to the Uchiha clan some time ago, but what pained Master Hokage even more was that of Shimura Danzo, the head of the Anbu training department. He ignored the prohibition, secretly bewitched and funded others to restart the first-generation cell transplantation experiment, and even had a spying heart on the secret arts of various families and the boundaries of blood succession. In order to train more root members over the years, he forced a large number of civilians and orphans to participate in the training, resulting in countless casualties. Kyochi said and asked Anbu to bring out some people. Leading the way is the future Yamato. Following behind him were these newly recruited civilian orphans. These children were all resisting the Anbu team in the base, and what they were told was, "This is an assessment." Kyochi explained the process in detail. There was a dead silence. Everyone thought that Danzo didn't do anything good, but they didn't expect that Danzo did things so ruthlessly. Compared with them, mere experiments are nothing at all. Dozens of people died in the experiment. What about Danzo's root squad? Hundreds or even thousands of people may not be impossible. Everyone was indignant and wished to tear Danzo apart, but Shimura Shinping, who was hiding in secret, was very lucky. Fortunately, we got off early, otherwise, the current Shimura family may be buried with Danzo. Danzo looked coldly at the children trained by the root squad. These people have all been sealed with the root of evil tongue, unable to speak out about him, and cracking it forcibly will damage their throats or even their lives. He wants to see. Tell me about your experiences. You don't need to mention him, just talk about your own affairs. Kyochi said flatly. Yes. I don't know my name, I'm called A in the team, I've been in the lab since I can remember. Yamato began to babble about his experience. At first, there was no empathy. After all, the other party is a member of the root team, so it is impossible to say that he has done a lot of evil things for Danzo, but after listening to Yamato's description, everyone fell into silence. No need to describe. But just from Yamato's experience, everyone can feel full of despair, and by the way, they are even more resentful and angry with Danzo. This kind of people. Anbu and Gen, who have ruled Konoha for so many years. They were somewhat dissatisfied. The object, of course, is third Hokage. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen jumped from above. As Hokage, I am responsible for this. I didn't supervise Danzo's actions very well, so that it became the result today. After third generation finished speaking, there was a moment of silence, letting Kyochi undo the seal on Danzo's mouth. Danzo can finally speak. He looked around and said with a sneer, where there is light in Konoha, there must be darkness. Without me and Gen behind the scenes, how can there be peace and prosperity in Konoha? Which time did Konoha's peace come out without using ninja tools, and when you say it, it's all due to you alone. Kyochi was amused. Danzo's shamelessness lies in the fact that he attributes the credit of the masses to himself, and is complacent about it. In fact, the victory of the war has nothing to do with him. His various conspiracy operations can be done by other people or Anbu. Because Konoha is strong enough. HMPH, I understand, no one can understand me, I am for Konoha, for the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen, you are just too weak, do you think Orochimaru was tempted by me to do the experiment? Danzo sneered. Everyone's eyes widened. Kyochi mentioned the experiment just now, but everyone doesn't know who was instigated, and now it seems to be Orochimaru. So he got his punishment, and now it's the equivalent of captivity for atonement. Sarutobi Hiruzen said lightly. Atonement. He. If Woodstyle can succeed, everything will be fine, it's just winners and losers. Danzo sneered. Others thought of Orochimaru's post-ninja war treatment. As the commander of the Eastern Front, he made a lot of contributions in the war, but since the end of the war, all his powers have been removed, and it seems that he has not been seen in Konoha recently. It turned out to be imprisoned, in this case. It is reasonable, after all, Orochimaru has made a lot of contributions on the battlefield. His outstanding command and combat saved many people. Compared with Danzo, it is obvious that Danzo is more hateful. Woodstyle can't be successful. Shodai's Woodstyle can be so powerful because he paid the price with his life. Kyochi stood up. You don't even have a thorough study of the basic theory, and you use people as experiments. This approach is simply disregarding human lives. What? Both Danzo and Yamato were taken aback. Really? Yamato's Woodstyle has never been comparable to first generation. Danzo always felt that the experiment was a failure, but now listening to Kyochi. This does not appear to be the case. Shodai is a sage body. Do you know how old the immortals of the three holy lands lived? Although Shodai is not them, normally speaking, with his old man's physique, his peak combat power in the past 100 years is definitely not a problem. Kyochi said in front of everyone, the reason why he died early was not because of illness and old injuries, but because he paid the price of life force every time he fought, that's all. Is that so? Utatane Kaharu looked at Tsunade in surprise. They don't even know about this kind of thing. Well, I developed a forbidden technique based on my grandfather's Muji healing, which can temporarily achieve the effect of my grandfather, but the price is unlimited cell division, which will lead to loss of vitality. Tsunade nodded. These things should not be disclosed in public, but she understood what Kyochi meant. Senju Hashirama's great contribution should not be lost in history. Everyone should know. Kyochi then said, Danzo, you keep saying that sacrifice is necessary, and I keep asking you, why can't it be you? Shodai sacrificed himself to protect the village and everyone, and you? Are you more important than Shodai? Danzo was still in shock, he has no doubts. As one of the researchers, he is well aware of the properties of Hashirama cells. As Tsunade said, they can divide indefinitely, exhausting the vitality of the transplanted cells, and eventually turning into trees. Turn out to be, the secret of Woodstyle is vitality. Kill Danzo. Someone had a drink. Only when there is comparison can there be high and low. In many villages, Danzo's behavior is the norm in Anbu, and as Konoha, there are sages, like Senju Hashirama. Danzo's personality is set off to be even more despicable. The will of fire is a precious treasure passed down by Shodai. Its essence is sacrifice, but this sacrifice is not to sacrifice others, but to sacrifice oneself to protect the village. Kyochi said loudly, people like Danzo, in the name of justice, do despicable deeds that serve ambition. I, Kyochi, as Konoha Jonin, absolutely cannot approve. Danzo, I have always indulged you. I know I have a weak side, so I think you and I can complement each other to the same degree as a teacher. Now that I think about it, I should be wrong. Sarutobi Hiruzen said sadly, no one can be a second teacher, and the teacher doesn't want someone to be a second him. He turned to look at Hokage Rock. At this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart is extremely clear. One generation has the needs of one generation, and Konoha does not need 2 generations of Senju Tobarama, including Kyochi, nor a second Senju Tobarama. He is just Kyochi Kanda. Third generation said and looked back at Danzo, as Kyochi said, the true meaning of the will of fire is to sacrifice oneself to protect the village, and you, are you really just for Konoha? Some of Kyochi's words echoed in his mind. This guy's vision has long been outdated, but he still doesn't know it, thinking that he has seen the future, and stubbornly feels that the path he is on is right. Whatever you say, I have a clear conscience. Danzo closes his eyes. He won't regret doing those things, the only thing he regrets is, why didn't I stand up for myself back then? Maybe if you stand up, you can become Hokage yourself, and Konoha will be different from now. Kyochi is all too clear. People like Danzo cannot be easily influenced by words, and he has no intention of influencing him. Those words are just to make this public trial more convincing. He's guilty, damn it. Third generation bows deeply to everyone. I'm very sorry. I'm a guilty Hokage. I'm also very responsible for Danzo's affairs. Can I fight him and kill him with my own hands? If I am killed, I deserve it, third generation said. Danzo looked up at him, speechless for a long time. Udatane Kaharu and Mitokado Homura sighed softly, feeling a little bit unbearable. After all, they are partners. Third generation has worked with Danzo for many years. Although the two cannot agree on many things, they know each other well. Danzo has always wanted to fight Sarutobi Hiruzen again. He has been brooding about a certain incident back then, and it is still difficult to release it. Kyochi was silent for a moment, and said, sorry Lord Third Generation, if he pleads guilty, I am willing to give it a chance, but he doesn't feel that he is at fault, and I don't think a person like him should leave without regret. The third generation was stunned for a moment, then looked at Tsunade. Tsunade's mouth twitched. Kyochi is really going to make trouble for her. But she thought about it, and was really a little dissatisfied. This guy Danzo refused to admit it, he felt that what he did was right, so why let him fulfill his last wish? But it seems that they don't count. She looked at everyone present and said, it's for everyone to decide. Konoha is everyone's Konoha, and we are just governing on behalf of him. In the case of Danzo, it is up to everyone present to vote to decide whether to let him have such a result. I disagree. A voice sounded. Everyone followed the sound and saw an Anbu ninja, very short and unattractive. Listen to the sound. It should be a girl's voice. She took off her cloak, but not her mask. As a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, I can't sit back and watch a pusher behind the scenes. I can get relief and dignity without confessing. Shimura Danzo, our clan has been wiped out. Do you know what the last sentence of our patriarch is? Hide. Don't go to Konoha. Geely yelled in a crying voice. She stared at Danzo, at third generation, feeling a little out of control. This kind of people. The third generation actually wants to give him a decent death and release. She does not approve. The Uzumaki clan also disagrees. If I'm not mistaken, the root team's seal of tongue bane should be modified from the sealing technique of my Uzumaki clan, right? She's a descendant of the Uzumaki clan. Third generation's eyes widened in surprise, and Danzo couldn't believe it. There is a Uzumaki clan who experienced genocide, and they live in Anbu, Konoha, and they don't know it at all, if it wasn't for the soft heart of third generation. Ori will not jump out at this moment. Kyochi didn't speak, just looked at third generation. She's a descendant of Uzumaki, and I think the hair is enough to prove that. I see. Sorry. Third generation bows deeply. He didn't know the inside story about the Uzumaki family at the time, but in retrospect, there were more than one strange places in it, so he also guessed that Danzo might have been involved in that matter. Certainly. Danzo may be just a pusher, and it is Kirigakure, Cloud Shinobi Village and other villages that actually accomplish this. Uzumaki Ori came over. Holding kunai in her hand, she stabbed him all at once, and then she healed him again with medical ninjutsu, then again. Danzo gritted his teeth and didn't shout out, just looked at Geely with cold eyes, and Geely gave another blow without fear. There was no day that was more frightening than when the village was destroyed. And the periphery. Kushina was completely stunned and couldn't believe the scene in front of her. Clan of Uzumaki. It turns out that there are still Uzumaki people living in the world. And When the clan was exterminated, the patriarch told the clansmen not to come to Konoha. She felt that her 3 views had been subverted. I'm not your only enemy, killing you is a disrespect to other people. The Uzumaki clan refused to join Konoha, and you are the most perfect Jinchuriki, he. Blame yourself, you are strong but not strong enough. Danzo laughed wantonly. Without any push from Kyochi, the guy started to explode himself, because he didn't feel that it was a wrong decision at all. In Danzo's limited brain capacity, there was only an either-or choice. It's too extreme. He shook his head. There is no cure. Third generation shook his head heavily. He really looked 10 years older at the moment. Ruined. Not just Danzo, but himself. But he has no regrets. Now it's just my reputation being damaged, but who should appeal to those ninjas and civilians who died under Danzo and his own wrong decisions? He'll live with guilt all his life if he doesn't fix this, and Danzo. Never mind. It's not a pity for this guy to die. After a while, Nanayu came out from the crowd, looked at Danzo, and then at the other children who had been trained to lose their emotions like machines, and couldn't help stabbing him. Then, she also healed Danzo by the way. Very ruthless. Kyochi couldn't bear to look directly, can only say. At the beginning Geely's move was too ruthless, even with Danzo's tenacious will, he couldn't help howling under the knife. What, there were screams. Some people didn't want their children to see this scene and left on their own, but many people felt relieved. The role of Danzo is not clear to everyone, but there is evidence for each of the crimes listed by Kyochi. These are all real crimes, which are much stronger than Danzo's own words of credit. And, as Kyochi and Tsunade said, Konoha's war was won by the efforts of all Konoha people, not Danzo alone, and this cannot be a reason for his acquittal. Udatane Kaharu sighed, and then looked at Yamato and the others who had stabbed Kanai quietly. These kids. The youngest is only 5 or 6 years old, and the oldest is only 11 or 12 years old. She walked up to Kyochi and asked in a low voice, is it possible that these children are not old enough to go back to school? Impossible. Kyochi shook his head. Although not all the children of these root teams have passed the training and become official members of the root organization, the cruel training process has made them different from normal children. Went to ninja school. It hurt other students, and it hurt them too. But Udatane Kaharu's current attitude is quite different. She is not as aggressive and domineering as before, but more in a negotiating tone. Look. Doesn't this speak? Kyochi complained in his heart. Udatane Kaharu was silent for a moment, and then said, then what should they do? Shall they be sent to the hospital for treatment? Has your psychological medicine research reached the practical stage? Kyochi asked back. Udatane Kaharu thought for a while and shook his head slightly. The human mind is very complicated. Tsunade and Kyochi put forward the idea and foundation, but if it wants to be used in medical treatment, as a special subject, it needs to continue to explore and research. The result of the current random treatment. Probably like Kakashi. He was at least a ninja at first, but after being treated, he almost went to Anbu's side to be an orphan. With this lesson learned from the past, she dare not mess with it. Let's throw Anbu first. Anbu is between ordinary ninjas and roots. It can let them adapt slowly. Then we can observe and select those who are suitable for ordinary ninjas and let them return to normal life. Udatane Kaharu has a good attitude, and Kyochi has a good attitude. And Tsunade. She's now officially dealing with Danzo. This guy deserved what he deserved, and killing him is not an exaggeration, but as Konoha Jonin, he can't be too cruel, it's almost enough. They are just making an example of others. Making it too bloody is not what everyone wants. Danzo died just like that. Uchiha Fugaku was dealing with family affairs, when he heard the news that Danzo had been arrested. Yes, and the death was very tragic. If Master Tsunade hadn't stopped him, he might still be alive now. In the end, Danzo didn't have the energy to scream. Yashira has a complex expression on his face. They have always felt that Danzo is a powerful and unshakable presence in the village. Result. It's only been one day. Danzo was directly dragged to the street for public trial, and then received a very tragic punishment. I was stunned when I heard it. If they participated in the rebellion like Uchiha Ji, there might be more than one of them to be tried. Fugaku was silent for a moment, then sighed, I see. What? That tiger should be Kyochi Kanda. He didn't leave Konoha. He went to Rain Shinobi village as a cover, in order to let everyone relax their vigilance. Fugaku said heavily. Yatsushiro was stunned for a moment, and then thought about it carefully. This might really be the case, otherwise why did Kyochi take Shisui away? He pondered for a long time, and said, could it be that they knew that someone from our clan was going to rebel? I don't know, but arresting Danzo and a public trial for his crimes should be planned. Fugaku was not sure if Uchiha's matter was in Kyochi's plan. Because Kyochi didn't seem to be well prepared for the Uchiha thing, and the number of misses was a bit too much, not as perfect as catching Danzo. He doesn't know. It's not that Kyochi doesn't want to prepare, but there is no way to plan ahead. Black Zetsu's concealment ability and vigilance are destined to make it impossible for the opponent to make a move once he sets up a plan. So, might as well just let things with Uchiha run its course. But, in short, Fugaku's heart is heavy at the moment, and his fear of Kyochi is even deeper. This person is unfathomable. When walking with him, you must pay attention to standing in line. Once you have other ideas, I am afraid it will be easy to be picked out and replaced. Subsequently, Fugaku thought of Shisui, and his mood became more and more complicated. Shisui is very close to Kyochi, it can be said. Everyone knows that Kyochi treats Shisui and the three of them as the first generation of direct disciples, and devotes himself to teaching many skills. Special Shisui. His swordsmanship and gymnastics are almost in line with Kyochi. If that was all, Fugaku would be happy that Kyochi helped Uchiha teach a brilliant genius, but apparently, Kyochi's goal is more than that. What the other party wants to teach is not only a genius, but also a qualified and brilliant manager, a patriarch who can replace him, or even be stronger than him. This is what Senju Tobarama wanted to do. Fugaku's heart is like a mirror, but he can't tell others, because it's useless to talk. Uchiha right now is really too weak. Even if someone awakens the legendary Mangekyo, it probably won't help, right? The stronger he is, the more he understands the horror of his opponent. Fugaku was helpless. Now, just take care of yourself. The civil strife in Uchiha has made his thoughts a mess now. Not only has the power within the clan been reduced a lot, but more seriously, most of these rebels were related. How to deal with it and how to arrange the rest is a big problem. One mistake may cause the Uchiha clan to fall apart. He had a terrible headache, and he only listened to Danzo for a while, and had no interest in eating melons at all. To the next day, the impact of Danzo's death seems to have passed, and the village has gradually returned to calm. Only when everyone drinks tea and eats, will they mention him and condemn him. But, in Kyochi's house, a difficult person came. Kushina. Of course she didn't come for him. Kyochi-kun, please, let me meet her. Kyochi was silent. Next moment. You let Minato do tasks like crazy for more than a month, and I haven't settled with you yet. 1 yard owned by a yard. Kyochi wasn't about to give in. He won't make a decision for Geely on this matter, she decides whether to see Kushina or not. As for the reasons behind the Uzumaki genocide, Danzo made it very clear. I didn't do it myself, but I did add fuel to the flames. For example, when the Uzushio village was exterminated, Konoha received almost no news. As the controller of Anbu and Konoha spies, Danzo is obviously unqualified in this aspect, but if he has the will. This is no surprise. Master Kyochi, please let her in. Ori opened his mouth. She stood up yesterday because she was angry at third generation's behavior, but after she stood up, she knew that she was facing a choice. Identity. She had been disguising herself before, but now that her identity is revealed, it is difficult to decide whether to stay or go. Walk? Kyochi agrees, but she's finding it hard to feel at home. Really reluctant. If you stay, you may face a lot of trouble. Go in, she just came back by chance. Kushina rolled her eyes, but still bowed deeply to Kyochi. She knew that Kyochi did this because he loved that Uzumaki tribe. Even, she could imagine how miserable life was for this clansman before he met Kyochi. Kushina walked in. After a while, she came out with tears in the corners of her eyes. Thank you. If it wasn't for you, Geely would probably be. I can't imagine that kind of scene, thank you very much. Kushina bowed deeply again. Kyochi waved his hand and said, you don't need to thank you. I didn't save you because of your thanks. You don't have to think too much about the Uzumaki clan, after all, you don't know anything about it. Yes, I'm just. My mind is a little confused. Kushina sighed. She thought she was the only Uzumaki left in the world, but the reality didn't seem to be the case. There are still some Uzumaki left outside the village. It's just that I don't want to come to Konoha. Even Ori only chose Kyochi, Tsunade, not Konoha to come here. She has mixed feelings about this. After all, Kushina grew up in Konoha since she was a child, and has a deep sense of belonging here. This is the end of the matter, it's useless to think about it. Are you speaking comfortingly? Cut. Let's go. Wait for Minato to come back another day, and invite you to my house for dinner. Kushina has an open-minded personality. Although the mood was gloomy, he quickly adjusted his expression. Who cooks? Then I have something to do temporarily. You? Minato cooks. It's all right, Kushina growled. Actually, it's not an important matter. Sister Tsunade and I can push it away, and we will definitely come over when the time comes. Damn. Sooner or later, I will practice my cooking skills and hit you in the face. Kushina left angrily. Emotions come and go quickly, and the depression just now is forgotten soon. Happy New Year everyone. I didn't have any hope at first, but I didn't expect it to reach 1,000. Thank you for your support, and the number of balances owed has increased again. This month's health is not good, and I don't make up enough. I will work hard next month. I wish you all a prosperous, happy and carefree new year. What? The Uchiha clan is in civil turmoil. Danzo was caught by the teacher and tried in front of the Hokage building? Shisui was completely dumbfounded when he heard the news. He guessed that the teacher asked Namikaze Minato to replace him, and there must be some conspiracy, but he didn't expect to play such a big game, and directly caused Uchiha to be in chaos. And Shimura Danzo, a figure who weighed down on many families, has now been uprooted, and even he himself has been dragged to the streets for public trial. This, teacher, it's too fierce. Then we go to Rain Shinobi Village? Kakashi and Yuhihong quickly thought of another reason. Let the other party relax their vigilance. If Kanda Kyochi and Minato hadn't left Konoha at the same time, how would Danzo and Uchiha dare to do it? No wonder you can go back to the village today. Yes, that's what you think, and the reason I came here is to send Kyochi back with the Flying Thunder God technique. On the way back, Minato didn't hide anything. I told them a little bit about the situation in the process. Kakashi and the others were surprised at first, but gradually became numb later on. This kind of thing. As long as Kyochi did it, it's no surprise at all. Teacher Kyochi's strength can solve a Danzo, isn't that easy? What worries Shisui is that. How messed up is Uchiha right now? And how mentally retarded are those people to even think of civil strife and rebellion? Do they think they can leave Mui safely? It's outrageous. Now he is eager to return home, he just wants to go back and find out what happened inside the family. Fortunately, this team wanted to go back as soon as possible. Everyone is going fast. It was a 2-day journey, but it took only 1 day to return to Konoha from Rain Shinobi Village. Shisui is because of the family, Minato is thinking about Kushina, and Kakashi and Yuhihong. It's purely a side-by-side exercise, certainly. Kakashi has something on his mind and wants to communicate with Kyochi. Kyochi doesn't have much time. He had just finished dealing with the integration of Anbu and Root, and all the people, were incorporated into Anbu by him, and they settled down and named them one by one. Like, Kyochi still gave him the name, Yamato. Others have their own names too, except the Root side. There is also the orphanage, where Morita Makoto is in charge, but Kyochi also came forward to meet and negotiate with Nanoyu, and told her her own decision. Sponsor orphanages and help orphanage kids become ninjas. And the price. After these children become ninjas, a part of each mission in the first 5 years will be used to repay Konoha's funding. Thank you very much. Nanoyu didn't hesitate. This condition may seem harsh, but it is not. Ninja is a high-risk occupation, especially genin who just graduated, and not every commoner becomes a genin. For children born in orphanages, the probability of not becoming a ninja is greater than that of becoming a ninja, and after becoming a ninja, they may sacrifice. Therefore, as far as the village is concerned, the 5-year interest collection is only a symbolic collection, which means that the subsidized ninjas have settled with the village. Certainly. This is from Nanoyu's point of view, but in fact, according to Kyochi's calculations, the children in the orphanage are willing to endure hardships. As long as they are given the opportunity and cooperate with the current education system, it is not difficult for them to become ninjas. In the future, when these people graduate, Konoha will still make money. But even if there is a profit, it is only a little bit. It can only be said that it is not a loss. This kind of policy can be maintained for a long time. It is impossible to make enough money from it. Nanoyu left with satisfaction and gratitude. At the door, Kyochi saw Yukushi Kabuto, a very bright kid who knew a lot at only 4 years old. You seem to be very concerned about this bag? According to Mukai's report, when Morita really came into contact, only the 4-year-old too saw Morita's true intention. Kyochi said. After hearing this, Tsunade pondered for a moment and said, he is very alert and has keen insight. He is a natural ninja. Yes, no wonder Danzo threatened Yukushi no. Kyochi nodded slightly. Kyochi was surprised by Ko's performance. Knowledge and ability can be cultivated, but this kind of innate flexibility and insight is difficult to cultivate. This is also the difference between geniuses and ordinary people. It makes sense for Danzo and Orochimaru to value him. But Now Danzo is gone, and Orochimaru. Not to mention that he was imprisoned. Even if he was let out, I'm afraid Orochimaru himself would not be too happy. In the research institute, everyone does research. He has found his own meaning here. As long as the research he is interested in continues, he has no idea of coming out. Recently, Orochimaru's topic is Sage Mode, and Kyoshi has a certain understanding. He didn't tell Orochimaru the idea of curse seal. Because for the time being, he can't think of a safe experiment that can arouse Orochimaru's interest. In order to keep Orochimaru safe, let him figure it out by himself. After most of Anbu's affairs were settled, Kyoshi sat down to drink tea and rest. Now it's Tsunade's turn to get busy. Next to her, Ori organizes the information. But Kyoshi is here. She gets up from time to help Kyoshi pour tea or something, and Tsunade's side. She stared at them both coldly. Go out if you have nothing to do. Don't stay here and interfere with my work. By the way, if Minato comes back, you should give him a few days off anyway. Don't really. It's inhumane. Tsunade sighed at this point. Not everyone is like Kyoshi. Chakra is abundant, and he can assign shadow clone work 24 hours a day. Still be a person. Kyoshi waved. Minato would have had a holiday next. The key right now isn't Minato. During this period of time, Fengji Junshu's wood style has improved again, and the speed of rice production has increased a bit. In addition, medicinal materials have also begun to ripen. There were finished medicinal materials yesterday. According to Nara's family and Tsunade's screening, those medicinal materials made into Bingliang pills can have at least 60% of the medicinal properties of normal medicinal materials. Not perfect. But, as a mass-produced medicinal material, this kind of efficiency is already quite strong, and now the reforms in other villages should start almost soon. Everyone should be short of soldiers and food pills, right? Kazeji Toshiki alone, even with a group of chakra batteries, is not enough, so Kyoshi's shadow clone will suspend his practice during this period and go to the mountains to help. No way. This is the case when the deadline is met. Even Kyoshi works overtime. Apart from Binglongmaru, he is most concerned about the intelligence of Kirigakure, where there are now the most Anbu ninjas. Madara may have manipulated a high-level person in Kirigakure through illusion. According to the analysis of the plot in the current situation of Miss Shinobi, third Mizukage, who can't get sickly, is the most suspicious. Next, it depends on Yagura's performance. That kid. Don't get caught and manipulated again. Then buy one get one free. Kyoshi thought to himself, and came out of the Hokage building, only to run into Minato and the others. He froze for a moment. Are you rushing back? Ahem. Everyone really wants to come back quickly, so. When Minato said this, he glanced at them. The meaning of the look was self-evident. Shisui nodded first, and the other two quickly followed. Jonin, who knows Flying Thunder God, can't afford it. It's been hard work. Go to rest, and just leave the handover to me. Thank you very much. Minato smiled and waved to leave. But, after turning around, he pondered for a while. It's not right. Isn't this just doing Kyoshi a favor? What did he thank you for? Give me some time off, and don't look for me again if you have a mission to go out. As for Kakashi, cough, you and Obito should exercise around with me first. Minato felt a little ashamed. Kakashi is fine, he has been carrying it all the time, but Obito and Lin really don't care much. I'm afraid Kyoshi has accompanied and guided them more times than himself during this time. Be sure to point them out next time, he thought to himself. Don't worry, there are really no missions to go out. Kyoshi replied firmly. Minato is still an honest person, he only said not to go out for missions. Model worker. But, let him rest for another 2 days, and tell him what he thinks after 2 days. Shisui slipped away quickly. He wanted to go back to the Uchiha clan immediately, but he still had to go through the procedure of returning to the village, so he had to follow for the time being. Now that he has instructions, how can he stay? And sunset read. Teacher, then I will go home first. Go. Kyoshi waved. Only Kakashi was left, staring at Kyoshi and saying, you didn't teach me at all. Oh? Didn't you experience cooperation during the process? Yes, but that's. Kakashi got stuck halfway through. Isn't that the end? I heard about your situation from Minato. You performed well in Rain Shinobi Village. Afterwards, you learned to think tactics with your teammates instead of talking about your own words. Isn't this all progress? This is because Shisui and the others have strong tactical thinking. It's just the two of them around here, so Kakashi has nothing to hide. Obito and Lin are not weak either, but that is strength. Tactically, Obito belongs to the lower level, and Lin listens to his instructions from the teacher more than speaking. Don't you know how to teach? Don't you expect every teammate to be flawless? Even Hong and Shisui were flawed at the beginning. You can't expect to have a ready-made perfect team ready for you every mission. Kyoshi looked serious. Kakashi, no one is perfect. The existence of the team is to make up for the shortcomings of others, so that each other can form a team without shortcomings or defects. Kakashi was stunned after hearing this, holding his breath and unable to refute. Because he found himself persuaded again. Obito's tactical thinking is poor, but as long as you show patience and teach with examples, he will still listen, let alone learn. Kyoshi looked at Kakashi. If you just want to be an ordinary ninja, it doesn't matter if you don't know these things, but if you want to be a powerful Jonin, these are the required courses for you. Yes, Mr. Kyoshi, I was wrong. Because of the flaws. So you need a team? Kakashi bowed deeply, ashamed of what he had thought. He understands. Kyoshi didn't ask him with Chunin's conditions, but with Jonin's standards, he didn't feel anything, but was very excited.